Chapter 2064 The Fourth Stage. 2064 The Fourth Stage. A fourth stage. Jian Wushuang's were wide open. The third stage great emperors were terrifying enough, having grasped even a bit of rules of order. The elite ancient god emperor and sword emperor Dugu of the first era were considered the pinnacle of third stage great emperors. Now there was a fourth stage? A fourth stage did not exist during the first era. I added it at the last moment. Emperor Bai smiled. Oh really? Jian Wushuang was surprised. Wushuang, you must understand, the second era we live in now, even though there's a vast difference in cultivating environments compared to in the first, one point remains the same. The cultivators of both eras were constricted by the boundaries of this universe. This constriction targets the strongest, Emperor Bai continued. The elite ancient god emperor and sword emperor Dugu of the first era had most certainly surpassed great emperor levels into something much more, but why do I still regard them as only great emperors? The constrictions the universe places upon us forces all cultivators to utilize no more strength than a great emperor can. Jian Wushuang was startled. He knew about a legend of the first era, an expert above all great emperors. Ancient God Emperor was a 10-star ancient god. According to ancient god clan divisions, 9 stars would make you a great emperor, 10 stars therefore naturally surpassed great emperors, ascending beyond the chaotic realm. But now it seemed, even though he was technically stronger than great emperors, there was really not much difference. Experts stronger than great emperors in the first era remained great emperors due to the constrictions, but what about the ancient past? There were so many experts stronger than great emperors during that period of time. Imagine if those supreme beings were to awaken. What would happen? Jian Wushuang was once again taken aback. Experts from the ancient past. Emperor Bai, if these experts from the ancient past were to awaken, would they face the same constrictions the universe places? Jian Wushuang assaked. Of course, our universe is special this way. Everyone in this universe faces the same constrictions, even the experts from the ancient past. Meaning to say, no matter how powerful you were in the ancient past, even if you were one of the best, as long as you're under this universe, you can only be treated as a great emperor. However, these experts from the ancient past, even though they faced the same constrictions, the myriad of means and secret skills they possess, along with their realization of the rules of order, they remained with them. You can only imagine, even if they had great emperor-level powers, that explosive energy, how strong would that be? Forget the others for now. Let's talk about that ancient past expert who helped you before, Emperor 13, you can tell how powerful he was, right? Emperor Bai said solemnly. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang could not help but draw a cold breath. He understood what Emperor Bai meant. Under the constrictions of the universe, they could only use great emperor-level powers, but the ancient past experts, possessing realization of the rules of order and other secret skills. The first and second eras were not even comparable. The elite ancient god emperor and sword emperor Dugu of the first era had only just surpassed the great emperor level. In terms of fighting power, they were simply the pinnacle of the third stage. There were so many experts from the ancient past stronger than ancient god emperor and sword emperor Dugu. Even with the same level of strength constricted by the universe, the experts would certainly surpass them in their explosive fighting power. Emperor 13 belonged to the ranks of these formidable ancient past experts. Because of these ancient past experts, especially after my encounter with Emperor 13, came the thought of the fourth stage. Without a doubt, Emperor 13 is a fourth stage great emperor, Emperor Bai said. Jian Wushuang nodded solemnly, and from this gained a whole new perspective of Emperor Bai. The 3 stages of great emperors, if you consider the ancient past experts, would make it 4 stages. 4 stages, meaning 4 completely different levels of power. The disparities between each stage was ridiculously huge. The reason why there was not much difference between great emperors within the Sanctuary Alliance was because they were all first-stage great emperors. Even the best of the first-stage great emperors, the abysmal Saint Mster, would find it hard to take down Yen Zun, currently at the bottom of the first stage. But if a second-stage expert were to come in, things would be different. A third or fourth-stage great emperor would take down a first-stage great emperor as if he was killing a chicken. Emperor Bai, may I know, amongst the 4 stages, at which stage do you reside? Jian Wushuang suddenly asked. Red Dragon King looked over. They were all curious. As the strongest in the eternal chaotic world, which stage did Emperor Bai belong to? Of course, Emperor Bai, having easily defeated Demon King Qinyu of the 3rd stage, made him at least on par with the Demon King. Emperor Bai took a while to think it through before replying. My current fighting power places me slightly above Ancient God Emperor and Sword Emperor Dugu of the 1st era, but it is limited. When I first faced Emperor 13, I had no idea how nor the necessary confidence to engage him, so I guess him at the top of 3rd stage Great Emperors, or somewhere between the 3rd and 4th. But, even though I'll lose to Emperor 13 and the other experts in terms of fighting power, if I were to fight them face to face, with the help of my inverse cultivation and other tricks, even groups of 4th stage Great Emperors would not scare me. Emperor Bai was ever so confident of himself, yet he hid nothing in regards to his own limitations. Jian Wushuang and Red Dragon King, having heard this, glanced at each other, astonishment and delight written all over their faces. The astonishment came from the fact that Emperor Bai's power was much stronger than they expected it to be, whereas the delight naturally came from the fact that Emperor Bai was on their side of the battle, and was basically a leader to them. The upcoming battle against the 3 Emperors world with Emperor Bai made them much more confident. Jian Wushuang. Emperor Bai looked towards Jian Wushuang. I saw the battle you had against Great Emperor Zisu. Your ability now should be amongst the best within 2nd stage Great Emperors, but not the best. You're still lacking in terms of Dao understanding. If you achieve a breakthrough from that, reaching Doctrine Palace's 9th level, you will emerge as the 2nd stage's best. If you want to reach the 3rd stage, that's fairly simple as well. Continuing to master the final part of inverse cultivation's 7th step will suffice, or understand some rules of order. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang shrugged his shoulders. He had just reached the 2nd stage, barely even reaching Doctrine Palace's 9th level. For him to master the final part of inverse cultivation's 7th step, or to understand even a bit of the rules of order, would take ages. Come, let's go back. Without a word, the 3 of them made their way back to Thunderbolt Island. Chapter 2065 Fighting at the Ancient God Clan. 2065 Fighting at the Ancient God Clan. Jian Wushuang, Emperor Bai and the rest attacked the base of Vientiane Tower, where they had killed Great Emperor Zisu. Within the eternal chaotic world, branches of Vientiane Tower that were located in different places among the tribes and sanctuaries received devastating blows. Even though Vientiane Tower had high social standing and power, it was nothing compared to Sanctuary Alliance. Sanctuary Alliance was the true ruler of the eternal chaotic world. If she wanted a certain force to disappear, no one could stop them. Within months, Vientiane Tower ceased to exist. All that was left were spies within different sects and clans. These cultivators were not strong enough to pose a threat. Furthermore, Sanctuary Alliance had gotten a list of most of these spies when they destroyed Vientiane Tower. These cultivators would also face certain death. The large dark millstone stood tall in the dark void. However, it stopped spinning deep in the 3 Emperors world, in the endless void. Idiot! This Zisu is an idiot. I have already reminded him to be extra careful as Emperor Bai knew that there was a spy in Sanctuary Alliance. What happened in the end? He exposed himself. To make matters worse, he even exposed Vientiane Tower. Acheron Palace spent so much time and effort on building a Vientiane Tower, and all our efforts went to waste because of this idiot. Demon King Qinyu's face was dark and he roared in anger. His aura turned extremely violent. This time around, Acheron Palace had lost too much. They had lost both Great Emperor Zisu and Vientiane Tower. Even though Acheron Palace had used large amount of resources to nurture Great Emperor Zisu and to get him to be one of the higher-ups of Sanctuary Alliance, this loss was still acceptable. During the final battle against the eternal chaotic world, his powers as a great emperor had been limited. However, Vientiane Tower was different. It was the #1 information department given that it was the #1 enterprise within the world, and the influence they had was great. During the war, it could pass messages, cause internal fighting among the eternal chaotic world, or change the tide of the war. There would be enormous benefits that could be reaped. Vientiane Tower was much more important to Acheron Palace than Great Emperor Zissou. Now, however, Vientiane Tower was destroyed with nothing left to salvage. All the effort that Acheron Palace had spent over the years had gone to waste. How could the demon King Chen Yu be not angry when he was the leader? Lung Rushue and Kaiser Blood, who were on the other two thrones in the void, were in a bad mood. Acheron Palace planned to insert different people into the eternal chaotic world so that they could be of help during the final battle. Now this plan has been foiled by Sanctuary Alliance. Our chances of winning during the final battle has dropped from 70% to 60%. Lung Rushue said, 60%. Even though there was an advantage, this advantage was no longer distinct. This happened all because of that idiot Zissou. Demon King Chen Yu roared in anger. Now that Zissou is dead, it's pointless trying to blame him. We should be doing our best to prepare for the battle by concentrating our forces properly. Furthermore, we should speed up our plans for the special tribe. Chen Yu, the responsibility of the plans belongs to Acheron Palace. You have to pay close attention. Do not make any errors. Do not worry. The special tribe is different from humans. It is easier to deal with them. Furthermore, Acheron Palace is well prepared and we will not allow for any more accidents. We can settle things there within a century. Demon King Chen Yu said confidently. Do not be overconfident. Lung Rushue glanced over at Demon King Chen Yu. The matters there are of utmost importance. If any more accidents happen, we will have no more advantage. Hence, I have sent some of my people over. Yes. With the help of Holocaust sect, we can be more assured. Kaiser Blood said as he nodded his head in approval. Demon King Chen Yu's face turned a shade darker, but he did not argue. I have some good news for you both. Lung Rushue said. Kaiser Blood and Demon King Chen Yu looked over. 3 days ago, Lord Fan transmitted a message to me. He said that not only has his injury healed fully, but he's also managed to improve his fighting power. Oh! Kaiser Blood laughed. That's great. Now with Lord Fan, our fighting power at the highest level will once again improve. Now our chances of winning are better. However, Demon King Chen Yu squinted his eyes slightly and looked like he was happy. He muttered quietly to himself, Lord Fan became stronger once again? He had an edge over me before his injury. Now that he has become stronger, won't he be able to overpower me? Kaiser Blood is also stronger than me. I am currently the weakest. Damn it. Demon King Chen Yu said nothing more even though he was angry deep down inside. Sanctuary Alliance, Thunderbolt Island, Emperor Bai, are you looking for me? What happened? Jian Wushuang received the message from Emperor Bai and rushed over. Now that Vientiane Tower is destroyed, the powers that Acheron Palace inserted in Eternal Chaotic World are gone. Our next step is for Sanctuary Alliance to rally the various forces in Eternal Chaotic World and concentrate all the experts. Then we will have the final battle against the Three Emperors World, Holocaust Sect, and Acheron Palace that resides in the Dark Millstone, he said to Jian Wushuang. It is easy to gather the experts in Eternal Chaotic World. With the possible repercussions there could be, 99% of the experts will gather here. However, we might encounter some problems with the special tribes. I need you to go down personally. Emperor Bai said. Special tribe. Jian Wushuang's heart skipped a beat. In the Eternal Chaotic World, there was segregation between human tribe and special tribe. Usually, these two tribes would not interact with each other. However, when the survival of Eternal Chaotic World was at stake, the two tribes would cooperate and work with each other. What will happen with the special tribe? Jian Wushuang said as he frowned. I do not have the exact details, but there are troubles between the four biggest tribes, especially Ancient God Clan. From what Sanctuary Alliance told me, it seems like the Ancient God Clan is having a civil war right now. Emperor Bai said. What? Jian Wushuang turned pale. Among the different special tribes, he had a deep connection with the Ancient God Clan. His bloodline of Ancient Clan, was closely related to the Ancient God Clan. But now, the Ancient God Clan was having a civil war. Chapter 2066 The Godly Spirit's Metamorphosis. 2066 The Godly Spirit's Metamorphosis. Jian Wushuang, I know you have a special relationship with the ancient god clan. Even the 9-star ancient god King Luo Yu from the clan said they wanted to make you their new ancient god as part of their clan. The brawl amongst the ancient god clan seems to relate you quite a bit, so... Emperor Bai looked at Jian Wushuang. Since the issue is related to you, you should step out and settle it. Understood, I'll move out now, Jian Wushuang replied. Okay, if you get yourself into any trouble within that special tribe, inform me. Of course, with your current abilities, most issues shouldn't get in your way, Emperor Bai said. Jian Wushuang gave a faint smile before taking off. After leaving Thunderbolt Island, Jian Wushuang was not in a hurry to visit the ancient god sanctuary, and instead he went back to the Green Fire world. Even though this visit to the special tribe would not take long, the eternal chaotic world was under ordinary circumstances. Jian Wushuang found Hall Master Yuan and Jian Nantian, and left them a few words. Then Jian Wushuang came to an enormous sea of fog. This was Star Foggy Sea, king of venomous worms. Jian Wushuang's voice resonated across the entire Star Foggy Sea. Soon, the green-robed elder, the king of venomous worms, had appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. Master! The king was ever so respectful. Since the king had leached onto Jian Wushuang's body, it was always Jian Wushuang, not Master. Today was different. The Jian Wushuang of today was without a doubt one of the strongest amongst the great emperors, the best the eternal chaotic world had, and definitely stronger than his previous master King Luozhen. With that amount of prestige and power, even the king of venomous worms had to show Jian Wushuang some respect. Naturally, he called him Master. You're living quite comfortably from the looks of it. Jian Wushuang looked at the king curiously. Jian Wushuang had just arrived to witness the king poking fun at one of the fellows in the Foggy Sea. Oh, how happy he looked. This is all thanks to you, Master, the king mocked. And indeed so. As a plenilune, he had previously needed to leech off of an ancient god to survive. But the bloodline of Jian Wushuang was so much purer than the ancient gods, the king only needed to leech for a short period of time, extract some ancient god blood essence, and he would live for 10,000 years, or even 100,000 years by himself. With the blood essence, he could morph into a human, moving freely amongst many cultivators, with no need to stay within Jian Wushuang's body. Of course, he was more comfortable than before. I'm here for you, because I need to visit the ancient god's sanctuary. Will you follow? Jian Wushuang asked. The ancient god's sanctuary? Since you, Master, have asked, I will follow, the king agreed without hesitation. Let's go then. Jian Wushuang waved his hand. The king immediately morphed into a mini-worm and made his way into Jian Wushuang's body. After the king, Jian Wushuang went to find Jian Yi. Jian Yi, your current skills, have they been restored to what they once were? Jian Wushuang watched Jian Yi. He could feel that subtle aura of power around Jian Yi. That aura surpassed the abysmal Saint Master, probably comparable to the second stage great emperors like Great Emperor Zisu and Red Dragon King. Almost there, but soon. A century should be enough for me to fully restore my power, Jian Yi replied. Jian Wushuang could not help but be astonished. Jian Yi now already possessed the fighting power of a second-stage great emperor, more or less, but he hadn't reached his true potential yet. When he fully restored his power, how powerful then would he be? Jian Yi, we have split the great emperors of the peak chaotic realm into 4 stages. What stage do you think you'll be once you've fully restored your power? Jian Wushuang gave a brief explanation on how the stage divisions worked. Jian Yi thought through it for a while and replied, at my peak, I should be at the top of the second stage, or at least near the top. Only the top of the second stage, Jian Wushuang sighed. Not confident to compare yourself with the third stage great emperors? Master, don't tease me, I only follow what you have taught me. Third stage great emperors have all a bit of rules of order. Rules of order. What a noble power that is. Even during the ancient past, when chaotic realms were plentiful, those who could really understand a bit of rules of order were no more than a handful. If I was capable of that, I would have joined some influential organizations and become one of their elite disciples. Not been some nobody who's only good in intelligence, Jian sighed. Oh, that made sense to Jian Wushuang. He too knew that the rules of order were not easy to understand. Okay, you continue to build up your strength here in the green fire world. It'll be gone for a while. The responsibility of keeping this place safe now lies with you, Jian Wushuang said. Aye. Jian Yi nodded solemnly and left. After Jian Yi left, Jian Wushuang's expression changed abruptly. Is it finally working? A tinge of delight could be seen on Jian Wushuang's face, as with a flip of his hand he took out a bronze mirror that emitted a unique smell. This bronze mirror was the 5-fire godly spirit mirror. The 5-fire godly spirit mirror was a treasure from the ancient past, obtained after Jian Wushuang had slain Emperor God Xie Exin. Back when the green fire world was in crisis, and Great Emperor Colored Glaze along with others had charged in, this mirror had provided Jian Wushuang with quite a bit of assistance. The mirror was nurtured with divine power. The stronger the divine power, the better the mirror worked. Back when Jian Wushuang had yet to master the inverse cultivation's 7th step, the mirror had been nurtured with divine power, allowing the 5 great godly spirits to all emit peak Emperor God powers, joining hands to form a godly spirit array, enough to fight against a great emperor. But ever since he had mastered the 7th step, there was an evolution in his divine powers. The 5 great godly spirits had also started to metamorphosize. This period of metamorphosis was long, from then all the way to now. Finally it had ended. That was why Jian Wushuang only took the mirror out now. I wonder how strong the mirror is now? With a glimmer of hope, he summoned one godly spirit. A dark shadow appeared. There came along an eerie chill, as if it came from hell itself. This aura was terrifying enough to scare even Jian Wushuang himself. Luckily it was him. If it was a normal real god or Sir God, they would choke in the face of this horrifying aura. The strength of this aura, to a certain extent, also symbolized the power of the godly spirit. Chapter 2067 Returning to Ancient God's Sanctuary. 2067 Returning to Ancient God's Sanctuary. Judging from the aura, this godly spirit has the power of a great emperor, Jian Wushuang muttered. If one godly spirit alone had so much power, then the battle power of 5 of them when used together would be, looks like I have my hands on another life-saving item. Jian Wushuang smiled. After keeping the godly spirit in the 5-fire godly spirit mirror, Jian Wushuang set off. The territory that belonged to the special tribes was far away from human territory. Jian Wushuang had spent 10 years on getting to Ancient God's Sanctuary initially. As his social status improved, he could use many hidden wormholes within Sanctuary Alliance, which shortened the time needed to travel. He passed through the wormhole and appeared at Ancient God Sanctuary. He did not sense anything different when he arrived back at Ancient God Sanctuary after so many years of absence. However, Jian Wushuang knew that the information that Sanctuary Alliance had was not from wild guesses. There had to be a civil war going on. I should go to Gu King City and ask King Gu Tong and get an update from him on the civil war, Jian Wushuang thought to himself. Within Ancient God Clan, there were 9 great king cities. Where he was closest to Gu King City. He arrived in the void above Gu King City soon after thanks to how quick he was. Jian Wushuang used his soul power to cover the entire Gu King City. After using his soul power to scan the city, he frowned. What is going on? King Gu Tong, King Gu Yu and King Gu Yi are all missing. Jian Wushuang was suspicious. He came to Gu King City before. This city was controlled by the ancient clan. The master of the city was Abysmal King. However, Jian Wushuang did not sense any familiar aura within Gu King City. On the contrary, he sensed many foreign presences. These foreign experts sensed his daring use of his soul power and were alarmed. Within seconds, 7 figures rose from the city and appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. The weakest among the 7 was a 7-star ancient god, while the strongest was an 8-star ancient god. Who are you? And why are you here? The muscular 8-star ancient god said as he gazed at Jian Wushuang. He saw the 8 stars between Jian Wushuang's brows, and treated him as an expert of the same power level. I am Gu Jian. I have just returned from the human territory. Jian Wushuang responded by giving the alias he had used when had first come to Ancient God Sanctuary. As far as I know, the masters of this city are the brothers, King Gu Yu and King Gu Tong. Why are they not here? King Gu Yu? King Gu Tong? Are you part of the ancient clan since your surname is Gu? The 8-star ancient god and the 6 remaining 7-star ancient god faces turned cold. I am indeed part of the ancient clan. Jian Wushuang nodded his head and admitted. You have the courage to come here after ancient clan's betrayal. Shouldn't you be staying within Luo Wang City? The 8-star ancient god scoffed so loudly that his voice reverberated in the king city. Betrayal? Jian Wushuang frowned. Everyone, he is a rebel from the ancient clan. Assist me in arresting him. If he resists, kill him. The 8-star ancient god bellowed. Immediately, he led the rest and attacked Jian Wushuang. These 7 ancient gods used their fighting power when they attacked. They used a wide array of skills. Some revealed universal laws while some used the ancient god finger. The different ancient god secret skills and ancient god lost knowledge were executed perfectly. Upon seeing this, Jian Wushuang's face darkened. Get lost. His roar was accompanied by a mix of endless divine power and bloodline power that was far superior to most ancient gods. The ancient god bloodline power radiated out in waves within the city. The 7 ancient gods who attacked Jian Wushuang were stunned and stopped in their tracks. All of their attacks disintegrated. They gazed at Jian Wushuang in awe. They could sense how strong Jian Wushuang was from that simple roar. Additionally, they felt the aura from his bloodline power. That aura from his bloodline power made them feel like submitting and worshipping Jian Wushuang. This aura, it's the aura of an emperor? How can this be? How can someone from the ancient clan have the aura of an emperor? They are traitors. Who is he? Who is he? These ancient gods looked at Jian Wushuang in terror. The 8-star ancient god too stared in disbelief. Jian Wushuang looked at them coldly. He snorted and left after scanning the 7 ancient gods. He did not retaliate in return. The ancient gods heaved a sigh of relief after Jian Wushuang left the void above the city and went out of sight. When Jian Wushuang stood there, the aura made their cores tremble in fear and forced them to worship him. He said his name is Gu Jian and he returned from the human territory recently. His bloodline power felt purer than that of a royal ancient god. Is he the man that Luo Yu King and the rest support? The 8-star ancient god widened his eyes when he thought of this. He actually personally came to Ancient God Sanctuary. No. I must report this to Lord Qin Shi immediately. The 8-star ancient god whipped out a transmission token and sent the message. After leaving Gu King City, Jian Wushuang traveled for a while before stopping in midair. He looked back in the direction of Gu King City. He squinted his eyes slightly and thought to himself. That is indeed Gu King City, where I first cultivated the ancient god skills and ancient god lost knowledge. Back then, the city was under the control of the ancient god clan. Now, Gu Yu King and Gu Tong King are no longer in the city anymore. The people in the city even think of me as a traitor when I reveal my surname? My master, fighting power is what determines who gets to rule over the great king cities within the ancient god clan. It is normal for the masters of these cities to change every once in a while. However, even if a new ancient god defeats the previous master of the city, the previous master will just leave the city. He will not be seen as a traitor. Evidently, something big happened within the ancient god clan. King of Venomous Worms said to Jian Wushuang. Chapter 2068 Kill him on the spot. 2068 Kill him on the spot. That 8-star ancient god just mentioned that experts of the Gu clan should be hiding in Luo Wang City. That city's controlled by King Luo Yu if I'm not mistaken. Let me ask him. Jian Wushuang took out the transmission token King Luo Yu had given him previously. King Luo Yu, Jian Wushuang here. The message was sent. Oh Sword Emperor, you're here at the Ancient God Sanctuary? A reply soon followed. Yeah. I heard there's been a brawl within the Ancient God clan. I immediately made my way here from the human domain, visiting Gu King City too. But Gu King City's no longer under the Gu clan? What happened? Are the brothers King Gu Yu and Gu Tong? It's a long story, I better save it for when we meet. Regarding the brothers, they're within my city walls. Ping me your location, and I'll get them to pick you up, King Luo Yu replied. Sure, Jian Wushuang nodded and sent his location, waiting in the void near Gu King City as time passed. At the ancient god sanctuary, within the vast void, lay a huge floating architectural complex. Within this complex, at its center, there was a palace one could not possibly not notice. Within that palace, a 3-meter-tall middle-aged man in chrome battle armor sat on the towering throne. This man was stone-faced, but the ferocious aura visible through his eyes was enough to startle one. But his most eye-catching feature was the 9 stars between his eyebrows. A 9-star ancient god was equivalent to a great emperor-level expert amongst the humans. But he was not King Luo Yu, it was another within the ancient god clan, the much older King Qinsheng. King Qinsheng's expression had changed. He had received the notice from that 8-star ancient god within Gu Wang City. Gu Jian? A being just arrived from the human domain, but within lies a bloodline purer and better than the royal ancient god clan? Sword Emperor. King Qinsheng immediately lifted his head. Sword Emperor, whom Luo Yu tried so hard to push to become the new ancient god emperor, has finally arrived at my ancient god sanctuary? Gee, so what if your bloodline is pure? The ancient god emperor of the clan will only be one, the rest can forget about it. Besides, this sword emperor is of human descent, and was not born within the ancient god clan. He is so much closer to humans than to us, what right does he have to become the ancient god emperor? In the ancient god clan, bloodline preceded everything else. That was the rule. Most people agreed with this rule, but to those elite experts, all rules could be bent, as long as you had enough strength. Any rule could be bent with power. The fact that King Qinsheng did not recognize Jian Wushuang's bloodline was not only due to his human descent, but also because deep in his heart, he only acknowledged one ancient god emperor. Zhansong. King Qinsheng shouted. King Qinsheng. At the bottom of the palace came a stocky, tanned, gorilla-like man. The Sword Emperor has appeared, just beside Gu Wang City. Bring someone over and invite him here, King Qinsheng instructed. Invite him, the gorilla-like man was stunned. Of course we'll invite him, but the way to invite? You should know how. If you can't do it, kill him on the spot. King Qinsheng's eyes were filled with ferocity. Aye, Zhansong nodded solemnly. Soon he took off with his finest men. The void outside Gu Wang City. Jian Wushuang waited quietly for a full fortnight. So, 2 figures appeared in front of Jian Wushuang's line of sight. They were the brothers King Gu Yu and Gu Tong. Jian Wushuang. King Gu Tong had interacted with Jian Wushuang several times, and they were on good terms. A refreshing smile greeted Wushuang. Sword Emperor. King Gu Yu was obviously more reserved. Hope y'all are doing fine, Jian Wushuang smiled. They made some small talk. Gents, Gu Wang City, what happened? Jian Wushuang asked. What else, we got attacked. King Gu Tong shrugged. The people in control of the city now, they were enough against the both of you too? Jian Wushuang frowned. He knew clearly, King Gu Yu had long ago attained the 8-star ancient god expert level, equivalent to a peak universe god in the human domain. King Gu Tong had also made it to the 8-star level these past couple of years. He was not as strong as the Abysmal King, but certainly not too far behind. Along with so many 7-star ancient gods within the Gu clan, their power was astonishing. Those experts in Gu Wang City could not have possibly taken down the city by themselves. Those people? Of course they couldn't do it alone. They had help, we brothers weren't enough to handle them, King Gu Tong said. So I see, Jian Wushuang replied. I'll tell you the details back at Luo Wang City, Sword Emperor. King Luo Yu is waiting for you, the Abysmal King replied. Let's go then. Mind if y'all lead the way? Jian Wushuang smiled. Under the brothers' lead, they headed towards Luo Wang City. Along the way, the trio started to chit-chat. Wushuang, the last time I saw you was back at your hometown Greenfire World. When you still hadn't made your breakthrough, You were already considered the top peak universe god amongst human cultivators. Now that the breakthrough has been made, you are certainly much stronger, right? King Gutong looked over. Slightly I guess, Jian Wushuang replied humbly. Could you fight a 9-star ancient god? King Gutong continued his questions. Should be able to, Wushuang smiled. Really? King Gutong had his reservations. Jian Wushuang smiled, but did not explain much. Suddenly, Jian Wushuang halted. What's wrong? King Guyu and Gutong paused as well, looking towards Jian Wushuang. Someone is here. They're strong, and they don't lack in numbers, Jian Wushuang said. King Guyu and Gutong's faces turned dark. Soon after, several figures could be seen in their line of sight. 10 people had formed a row, each with such powerful auras. The weakest among them was a top 7-star ancient god. 4 8-star ancient gods were amongst the men, but the most eye-catching was the stocky, tanned, gorilla-like man. The stars between that man's eyebrows. He had 9. Chapter 2069 Invitation. Invitation? That is King Zhan Song, leader of the Zhan clan. Blood drained from King Guyu and King Gutong's face. Gutong King wanted to slap himself hard. He had just asked whether Jian Wushuang could go head-to-head with a 9-star ancient god, and one had appeared. Zhan clan? Jian Wushuang thought as he frowned. He asked, within the ancient god clan, isn't there only King Luo Yu and King Chen Xing who are 9-star ancient gods? There was indeed only 2 9-star ancient gods. However, not too long ago, a new ancient battlefield appeared near your hometown. Many of the ancient gods went there to search for opportunities. They managed to gain some rewards. King Zhan Song reaped the greatest benefits. He managed to use the opportunities within the ancient battlefield and became a 9-star ancient god, King Guyu said. Is that so? Jian Wushuang nodded his head. King Zhan Song and the Zhan clan were always obeying King Chen Xing and listening to his orders. The ancient god clan sides with King Luo Yu while we support you. On the other hand, King Chen Xing opposes this idea firmly. King Zhan Song probably got news that Sword Emperor came to ancient god sanctuary and came especially for you. His intentions are bad. He has bad intentions? Jian Wushuang smiled lightly. What could a 9-star ancient god that was just promoted due to opportunity do even if his intentions were bad? 10 ancient god experts, together with their leader King Zhan Song, appeared in front of the trio. King Zhan Song, who was the size of a gorilla, first scanned King Guyu and King Gutong before looking at Jian Wushuang. Are you the Sword Emperor? King Zhan Song asked coldly. Yes, I am. Jian Wushuang nodded his head. I am Zhan Song. If you want to inherit the place of the ancient god emperor, follow me so that we can discuss this matter. King Zhan Song said. King Guyu and King Gutong panicked. King Zhan Song. If King Chen Xing really wanted King Zhan Song to inherit the throne of the ancient god emperor, he wouldn't be fighting so fiercely against King Luo Yu, nor would he send you here to invite Sword Emperor. He would have come personally. King Gutong shouted. Keep quiet. King Zhan Song scolded as he glanced at King Gutong. You are just a mere 8-star ancient emperor. You have no place to speak. King Gutong was stunned. He had no choice but to tolerate it even though he was upset. An 8-star ancient god should always respect a 9-star ancient god. Sword Emperor, follow me, King Zhan Song said once again. What if I refuse? Jian Wushuang smiled. Refuse? Do you think you have the right to refuse when I invite you personally? Be logical or I will take action, King Zhan Song threatened. Take action? I really want to know what you will do. Jian Wushuang grinned as he took a step. Even though his step looked casual, it closed the distance between him and King Zhan Song instantly as he appeared in front of King Zhan Song. A wave of strong diving power and bloodline power which was many times purer than that of a royal ancient god swept out in all directions at that instant. Jian Wushuang raised his right hand and pointed his index finger towards King Zhan Song. Once the finger was extended, heaven and earth turned silent. Boom! Emerging in the void behind Jian Wushuang was a black, shiny mirage of an ancient god that was tens of thousands of feet tall. This gargantuan mirage also pointed out its finger. This finger was the ancient god's ninth finger. This was the last move under the ancient god's finger. The name, Ultimate Finger. You are asking for it. King Zhang was enraged when Jian Wushuang attacked him without saying a word. His ancient god body, which was as large as an orangutan, expanded in size rapidly. Endless waves of ancient god power gushed out furiously. A humongous mirage of an ancient god appeared behind him. It also attacked with the same technique. Ancient god's ninth finger. The only difference was that his ancient god mirage was dark gold, which was a telltale sign that he was a member of royalty. On the other hand, Jian Wushuang's mirage was dark green. Bang! The two fingers collided head-on. Two waves of shocking power erupted and burst forth in all directions. King Zhang was confident in his own power. He was a 9-star ancient god, one of only 3 within the ancient god clan. However, Jian Wushuang was just an 8-star ancient god. The difference in power level was still evident even if Jian Wushuang had bloodline power, which was purer, that could suppress his fighting power. Since the move was the same, he was absolutely confident in destroying Jian Wushuang's ultimate finger. However, his confidence shook the moment the two fingers collided. The air howled as the endless ancient god power dispersed in all directions. His dark gold ultimate finger fell apart and exploded. It couldn't even put up a fight to stop Jian Wushuang's ultimate finger. The moment it collided, it disappeared. Even though the difference in power level was evident, the ending was unexpected. How is this possible? King Zhang widened his eyes. Jian Wushuang's ultimate finger came upon him. He had no time to react as he was still stunned. Boom! The enormous ultimate finger smashed into King Zhang. It shoved King Zhang towards the ground ruthlessly and effortlessly. It was as though he was a mere fly. Crash! The entire earth shook. A crater so deep that on one could see what was at the bottom formed. King Zhang was completely buried at the bottom of the crater. There was no movement even after a while, so no one knew what his condition was. After doing all of this, Jian Wushuang patted his own sleeves as the huge mirage of the ancient god disintegrated into nothingness. However, the aura of his bloodline, which was purer than that of a royal ancient emperor, still swept out in all directions. He looked down on the crater that King Zhang was in and smiled in disdain. He was simply a 9-star ancient god who got promoted recently. How dare he tell me that he will take action if I refuse his offer? What an idiot! A 9-star ancient emperor was just equivalent to a normal great emperor back in the human territory. A 9-star ancient emperor who had just been promoted was equivalent to the most normal stage 1 great emperor. He could fight 13 of such great emperors alone back when he was in 3 emperors' world. Chapter 2070 within Luo King City. So what about you guys? Are the rest of you going to invite me as well? Jian Wushuang said coldly as he scanned the remaining 10 ancient gods. The remaining 10 ancient gods who had 7 or 8 stars looked at Jian Wushuang in awe and disbelief. They lowered their heads upon hearing his question. Even someone with the power level of King Zhang could be defeated easily by Jian Wushuang. They would not risk their lives and anger Jian Wushuang. Since no one is going to invite me, get lost, Jian Wushuang raged. The ancient gods stepped aside immediately and made a path. King Guyu and King Gu Tong, let us continue our journey, Jian Wushuang looked at the two of them and said. At that point in time, King Guyu and King Gu Tong were shocked beyond words. King Gu Tong doubted that Jian Wushuang could fend off a 9-star ancient god even when Jian Wushuang himself said that he could. But now, Jian Wushuang had crushed a 9-star ancient emperor with a single technique. Even King Luo Yu could not have achieved this feat. Besides feeling surprised, they were euphoric. This was their true emperor. He had both insane power and strong bloodline power. Let's go! The 3 of them made their way towards Luo King City. Within the large ditch, King Zhang stood up after a while. By then, Jian Wushuang and the other 2 men were already far away. After half a month, Jian Wushuang reached Luo King City under the guidance of the 2 kings. Sword Emperor, this is Luo King City. The experts form Luo clan, Gu clan and many other clans are gathered here. However, Luo King City is barricaded by the men under King Chenxing. My brother and I put in a lot of effort just to get out to welcome you, King Guyu said. Barricaded? Looks like you are at a complete disadvantage in this fight. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows and said. King Guyu sighed and continued, I have messaged King Luo Yu and asked for his aid to bring us into the city. We should send a message to King Luo Yu to inform him that we are arriving. However, we do not need his aid. We will make our way in by ourselves, Jian Wushuang said as he rushed towards the city. Entering by force? King Guyu was stunned for a moment. Then, he recalled the fighting power of Jian Wushuang and understood how. Before long, violent roars and clashes could be heard. The trio had fought the experts under the command of King Chenxing. However, under the ruthless attacks, the experts lost to Jian Wushuang. The trio broke past the barricade easily and appeared in front of the city. King Luo Yu, numerous 7-star ancient gods and 8-star ancient gods stood there waiting for the arrival of Jian Wushuang. Sword Emperor, King Luo Yu greeted respectfully. He walked up as soon as he saw Jian Wushuang in the distance. King Luo Yu, how have you been? Jian Wushuang smiled. The remaining ancient gods that were standing behind King Luo Yu looked at Jian Wushuang curiously. They knew his identity as King Luo Yu had told them earlier that Jian Wushuang possessed bloodline of emperors and that they should support him in becoming their new master. Aside from King Gu Tong, King Gu Yu and a few others, no one had met Jian Wushuang before, much less confirmed the bloodline power others claimed he had. They were unsure if the claims were true. Jian Wushuang smiled lightly when he saw that everyone doubted him. The aura of the bloodline power of the ancient clan burst forth. This aura. All the ancient gods were startled. The aura of an emperor. This is definitely the bloodline power of an emperor. Ha! This certainly is the bloodline power of an emperor. Looks like King Luo Yu was right. There is indeed someone with the bloodline of emperors. How dare this King Chenxing vow that we are traitors? I want to see what he has to say after the message that the bloodline of emperor exists spreads. All the ancient gods looked at Jian Wushuang in excitement. King Luo Yu smiled when he saw the changes in expressions. He said, Sword Emperor, please enter the city. We can continue the conversation inside. Okay, Jian Wushuang nodded his head and said. Under the personal guidance of King Luo Yu, Jian Wushuang entered Luo King City. There were many 7 and 8 stars ancient gods seated within the large, magnificent palace. At the top of the palace there were 2 thrones side by side. Jian Wushuang sat on one beside King Luo Yu. King Luo Yu, what's happened? Jian Wushuang asked. After I confirmed that you, Sword Emperor, have the bloodline of emperors back in Green Fire World, I came back to Ancient God's Sanctuary immediately. I gathered the different clan leaders and the masters of various king cities to come together to support you as our new emperor, King Luo Yu started explaining. In the history of our clan, bloodline power is supreme. Since you possess the bloodline power of emperors, you should become our new emperor. However, during the gathering, King Chenxing questioned this. He said that your blood is mixed with that of a human, so you do not deserve to be our new emperor. He further accused that my Tua clan conspired with the humans and are traitors to the ancient god clan. Hence, during the meeting, I fell out with King Chenxing. Out of all the different clan leaders and masters of king cities, only 30% of them sided with me. However, 40% sided with King Chenxing. 40%? I thought that bloodline power is supreme within the ancient god clan? Why do 40% of the experts support King Chenxing? And what happened to the other 30%? Jian Wushuang knitted his eyebrows and asked. It is indeed true that bloodline power is supreme in our clan. However, some people felt it unfair that you possess the bloodline power of emperor, while others had not seen you with their own eyes. Most importantly, the influence of King Chenxing is too strong in the ancient god clan, King Luo Yu sighed. King Chenxing is the oldest and most senior within the clan. He is also the strongest person. There was no one born with the bloodline of emperors till this date. Hence, he is always the leader in our clan. He plays an important role in deciding the masters of different king cities in the fight against the other 3 top-tier clans as well as resolving clashes with other special tribes. Furthermore, he is the direct royal bloodline of first ancient god emperor. Direct royal bloodline? Jian Wushuang was stunned before he continued, "You mean, yes, his father is ancient god emperor." King Luo Yi said seriously. Chapter 2071 Alone. No wonder. Jian Wushang commented. As the heir to ancient god emperor, King Chen Xing had superior bloodline power compared to the rest. He was the most recognized leader of the ancient god clan and the strongest person within the clan. His influence was evident within the clan. No wonder 40% of the experts supported him. Wait, ancient god emperor was an expert in the first era. He should have died when the first era ended. Wouldn't that mean that King Chen Xing also came from the first era if he was the son? Jian Wushuang said, startled. Yes. Ancient god emperor had 3 sons in the first era and King Chen Xing was the youngest. During the first era, he was not powerful and was not a 9-star ancient god. He was just an 8-star ancient god. After the first era ended, ancient god emperor and his elder 2 sons died. He survived with a minimal number of ancient gods. They started to reproduce and eventually formed the ancient god clan today. In fact, all of the 3 most powerful tribes are living legacies from the first era, King Luo Yu said. Jian Wushuang's heart skipped a beat. No wonder. It seems like King Chen Xing made great contributions to the ancient god clan. Jian Wushuang smiled. King Chen Xing managed to lead a tribe which had barely survived the first era to become a dominating force in the second era. His ability and power deserved respect from the general population of ancient gods. King Chen Xing made great contributions to the ancient god clan. However, he will admit to only his father having a purer bloodline power. It is to no surprise that he acted with hostility towards me when he learnt that I support you in becoming the new ancient god emperor, King Luo Yu said. I am no match for King Chen Xing as he is a powerful man. Furthermore, he gained the support of one of the 9-star ancient gods from the Zhan clan. All I could do was stay within Luo Wang City to think of ideas. Jian Wushuang nodded his head to show that he understood. King Chen Xing sealed off Luo King City during this time period. It is extremely difficult for us to leave the city, let alone for us to force King Chen Xing to back off. We were no match for him. Now that you are here, it should be much easier to solve the existing problems, King Luo Yu said with a serious face. How so? Jian Wushuang looked at King Luo Yu with interest. The ancient clan puts bloodline power above all else. No matter how big the contributions of King Chen Xing and no matter how widespread his influence is, it will not change this fact. The reason why 40% of the clan supports him is because they have yet to see you. Hence, they are not sure whether you possess the bloodline of emperors. Since you have arrived at Ancient God Sanctuary, those remaining 30% who have yet to make up their minds will definitely support you. King Luo Yu said, the masters of the king cities and various clans may be willing to support me. However, King Chen Xing probably will not even if he verifies that I have the bloodline of emperors, Jian Wushuang said. This. King Luo Yu frowned and said, King Jianchen will only submit to his father. It is not possible for him to serve you willingly. However, there is no way he could influence the will of the masses in the ancient god clan. Even though that may be the case, it will be much better if King Xingchen decides to serve me willingly, Jian Wushuang smiled. By the way, what is the power level of King Xingchen? King Xingchen is unanimously thought of as the strongest in the ancient god clan. His power level is at the limit of a 9-star ancient god and he is the second strongest in the special tribe. His fighting power should be similar to that of a normal stage 2 great emperor. Jian Wushuang was surprised. A normal stage 2 emperor? Jian Wushuang possessed one of the highest fighting powers out of all the stage 2 great emperor. If this was the case, he should be more powerful than King Chen Xing given that the emperor bloodline power would further suppress the fighting power of King Chen Xing. Lead the way, King Luo Yu. I want to meet King Chen Xing, Jian Wushuang said as he stood up. King Luo Yu's face turned pale. There is a great difference in power between our faction and his faction. To go and find King Chen Xing now would be suicide. I think we should send a message to the other 3% of the clan and to the masters of the different cities. We will gather together before finding King Chen Xing. This is a much safer way. Let us save the trouble. We shall head there now. Jian Wushuang smiled. King Luo Yu frowned and stopped trying to discourage the Sword Emperor. Under the guidance of King Luo Yu, Jian Wushuang left Luo Wang City and reached a vast void. There were large groups of buildings floating within this void. There were many faint but overbearing auras radiating out from the buildings. King Qinsheng is within those buildings, Sword Emperor. I shall call him to come and meet us, King Luo Yu said. There is no need. Jian Wushuang waved him off. Wait for me here. I will find him personally. You are going alone? No way. King Luo Yu was shocked. Calm down and watch what happens. Jian Wushuang smiled as he moved towards the buildings. King Luo Yu turned pale and the remaining ancient gods present were puzzled. They felt that the Sword Emperor was too arrogant. It was obvious that King Qinsheng was not on good terms with the Sword Emperor. They felt like the Sword Emperor was asking for it when he entered the home of King Qinsheng alone. He clearly knew that he might be killed. King Gu Yu and King Gu Tong were the only two people that remained calm. King Luo Yu, there is something I have yet to report. King Gu Yu said. What is it? King Luo Yu sounded agitated as he was clearly worried for the safety of Jian Wushuang. When King Gu Tong, Sword Emperor and I were on our way back to Luo Wang City, we met Zhan Song. King Gu Yu said. Zhan Song? King Luo Yu face tightened. 9-star royal ancient god Zhan Song. He must have been listening to King Qinsheng's orders and went after Sword Emperor. How did all of you escape? Escape? There was no need to run. Sword Emperor fought Zhan Song and beat him with just one move, King Gu Yu said as he shook his head. Chapter 2072 King Qinsheng. He only needed one move to defeat Zhan Song? King Luo Yu widened his eyes. The surrounding ancient gods looked over at King Gu Yu in disbelief. Zhan Song was a legit 9-star ancient god. Even King Luo Yu could not defeat him in one move. Even though Sword Emperor is an 8-star ancient god, his true power is much greater than that of most 9-star ancient gods. There is a reason why he decided to meet King Qinsheng alone. Everyone, don't worry for his safety, King Gu Yu said. So this is why Jian Wushuang dared to go alone. King Luo Yu heaved a sigh of relief. However, King Qinsheng is already a stage 2 ancient god. He is not easy to deal with. If anything unexpected happens, we will help him immediately. Yes, the ancient gods around nodded their heads. Jian Wushuang appeared at the foot of a state. Who is that? A stern voice shouted. Jian Wushuang did not halt. He smiled and continued walking. Right when he was about to enter the estate, an aura of bloodline power many times purer than that of a royal ancient god burst forth from Jian Wushuang. It felt like a dragon was awakening as the aura filled the entire atmosphere. Many of the ancient gods, including those from the various clans and the different masters of the various cities, felt pressured to submit and bow down to their new emperor. All of them were caught by surprise. That is the aura of an emperor. What King Luo Yu said was true. Someone with the bloodline of emperors was born. A new emperor. Everyone within the estate were boiling with curiosity as many ancient gods flew out. The entire place was densely packed within moments. Everyone was looking at the young man who was walking towards the center of the estate. Jian Wushuang placed his hands behind his back as he looked around and said with dignity, "Who dares to stop me?" This simple sentence forced many ancient gods to lower their heads. Those who tried to stop Jian Wushuang stepped aside without hesitation. Within the ancient god clan, bloodline is supreme. This concept was definitely true in this clan. They had only heard from King Luo Yu that there had been a human born with the bloodline of emperor and they should support him in becoming the new emperor. They chose to support King Qinsheng because the new emperor was human. Furthermore, they could not confirm the claim as they had not met Jian Wushuang before. Once these ancient gods felt the aura of bloodline of emperors themselves, their doubts disappeared. Everyone looked at Jian Wushuang in an excited and passionate manner. The one who possessed the bloodline of emperors was their emperor. Even though the blood of a human flowed through his veins, this couldn't change the fact that he too possessed the bloodline of emperors. Every ancient god moved out of the way and no one dared to stop Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang walked successfully to the center of the estate and stopped in front of the most majestic palace. Within the palace, a 3-meter-tall man in silver body armor stood up slowly. Behind the silver armor man was another man whose body was as big as a gorilla's. This man was King Zhansong. He had been defeated in a battle against Jian Wushuang. "Are you King Chenxing?" Jian Wushuang stared at the man in silver body armor and asked coldly. "Sword Emperor, you are a courageous man. You dare to venture here alone. Do you really think that your bloodline power will save you?" King Chenxing said as he stared back coldly. Before Jian Wushuang could reply, an 8-star ancient god, who also happened to be a master of a king city, spoke. "King Chenxing, according to the law of the ancient clan, we should support Jian Wushuang in becoming the new emperor as he possesses the bloodline of emperors. I hope you can." Before the 8-star ancient god finished his sentence. "Keep quiet." King Chenxing bellowed fiercely and stared at the 8-star ancient god as the ancient god was forced into silence. "Within the ancient god clan, there will only be one emperor, and that will be my father. He is of paramount importance within the clan. On the other hand, so what if Jian Wushuang possessed the bloodline power of emperor? At the end of the day, he is still a human. Who gave him the right to be the emperor of the ancient god clan?" King Chenxing questioned coldly as his voice reverberated through the air. The ancient gods around kept quiet after hearing this. "King Chenxing, I'm going to ask you one last time. Are you going to submit?" Jian Wushuang said coldly. "Submit? Submitting to a mere human like you?" King Chenxing started laughing as though he had just heard the funniest joke in the world. "Are you not going to? If that's the case, then do not blame me for what's going to happen." Jian Wushuang focused his vision on King Chenxing and leaped forth. Boom! The void beneath Jian Wushuang's feet exploded into pieces. Surging waves of divine power and bloodline power radiated from Jian Wushuang. At that moment, Jian Wushuang pointed his finger. Heaven and earth trembled as a mirage of an ancient god tens of thousands feet tall appeared behind Jian Wushuang, copying his stance. At the tip of its finger, a ball of diving power started to concentrate, glowing dark green. "It's this move again." King Zhansong, who was standing behind King Chenxing, widened his eyes and hints of fear could be seen in them. King Zhansong had been defeated easily using this move back when he had invited Jian Wushuang using force. Now Jian Wushuang had used the same move and attacked King Chenxing. Humph! King Chenxing grunted as he started to boil with divine power. His aura grew to a peak instantly. He was different from King Zhansong. King Zhansong had only reached the level of a 9-star ancient god recently. However, King Chenxing had been at the peak of a 9-star ancient god for a very long time. His fighting power was that of a stage 2 great emperor back in the first era. He was much stronger than King Zhansong. "Jian Wushuang, you are asking for it," King Chenxing said coldly. Upon finishing his sentence, he too channeled his divine power and attacked. He too used the ancient god's 9th finger, the ultimate finger. The power was at least 10 times stronger than when King Zhansong had performed the same move. The two fingers collided head-on. Heaven and earth rumbled fiercely. The void shattered as the limitless amount of divine power gushed violently in all directions. In the end, both fingers disintegrated into nothingness after the intense collision. Chapter 2073. Get down! King Chenxing looked at Jian Wushuang coldly within the violent storm of divine power. Jian Wushuang stood up straight as numerous mirages of ancient gods appeared behind him. Ancient god, lost knowledge, universal laws. Boom, 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 boom. Every single mirage used its palm and slapped forward fiercely. Each slap seemed to contain a complete cycle of reincarnation. King Chenxing's face turned dark. His ancient god power burst forth as numerous mirages appeared behind him. It had been a battle between the strength of Ultimate Finger during the fight against Zhansong before. Now, it was a battle between the universal law. The entire heaven and earth was overwhelmed by the endless divine power. All that one could hear was the countless number of tightly packed collisions as the sounds reverberated through the air. Amidst the raging collisions, humph! A snort could be heard as the numerous ancient god mirages belonging to King Chunxing dissipated into the air. He swiftly took a few steps back in retreat. How could this brat's divine power be so pure? King Chunxing thought. Even though he was startled, his face did not show any sign of fear. Secret skill? Guided thunder. Heaven and earth shook suddenly, as a rift in heaven and earth appeared out of nowhere in the sky above. At the ends of this gigantic rift, beams of crimson red light appeared. These beams of light were countless bolts of sacred thunder of extermination packed densely together. Any single bolt of thunder could easily kill an almighty, and there were at least hundreds of thousands of bolts there. These hundreds of thousands of bolts of thunder fused together perfectly, forming a single, huge crimson thunderbolt. This bolt of thunder suddenly descended. Secret skill guided thunder? Jian Wushuang saw this and smiled. I also know this move. A similar gigantic rift in heaven and earth appeared on the other side of the sky. However, from this rift, the countless sacred thunders of extermination were dark jade in color. The power of the thunder was unbelievably strong. Under the control of Jian Wushuang, the thunder fused together to form a huge thunder dragon which was dark jade in color. The thunder dragon roared as it rushed towards the crimson-red thunderbolt. The two collided in midair. Kaboom! It was as though it was a bolt from the blue. However, the sound and power was far greater than that of a normal bolt. The two sacred thunder of extermination collided with devastating impact. The surrounding void dissipated completely and formed a space-time storm. Originally, there had been a complex of buildings beneath their feet. After the collision, all the buildings had been destroyed and ceased to exist. The terrifying aura shocked the ancient gods who had escaped. I have used almost all the attacks and secret skills from the ancient god lost knowledge. Next up is, Jian Wushuang thought as he looked at King Chunxing coldly. At the same time, the size of his body grew rapidly. Heads and arms started to grow out of his body. This occurred to King Chunxing as well. Both had 9 heads and 18 arms. Kill! Fight! Following the war cry, both their fists collided fiercely into each other. This time, both of them fought with their bare fists. Each of the 18 arms Jian Wushuang had grown held a sword. He used his swordsmanship to the fullest. King Chunxing used the brute force of his fist. Each punch was like a meteorite crashing. The power was unbelievable. Fighting at melee range had always been a specialty of ancient god clan. Their fighting power at close range was far superior to that of the people in other clans. During the battle, Jian Wushuang and King Chunxing both maximized their ability to fight at close range. The ancient gods who were around watching this fight were stunned. Many cleared their throats as they shuddered in fear from the bottom of their soul. These two men were without a doubt the strongest within the ancient god clan. On one side was King Chunxing, the man who was unanimously thought to be the strongest within the clan. On the other side was Jian Wushuang. He possessed the bloodline of emperors. Even though he was just an 8-star ancient god, his power level was still higher than that of King Chunxing. Yes, he was stronger than King Chunxing. Everyone witnessed it themselves. Jian Wushuang was stronger in every way, be it the power of his secret skill and lost knowledge, or his ability to fight at close range. Jian Wushuang managed to completely suppress King Chunxing even now. Even though King Chunxing did everything he could and was fighting back with all his might, it was still clear that he was at a disadvantage. How is this possible? This brat is just an 8-star ancient god. How can he be stronger than me? King Chunxing thought to himself, shocked. His face was gloomy. King Chunxing was a 9-star ancient god. Even though their ability to fight at close range was of the same level, Jian Wushuang could still suppress him head-on. This was because the power that came from Jian Wushuang's sword was stronger due to the superior divine power and the inhibition from the bloodline power. On the point of quality of divine power, Jian Wushuang was at the second phase of the 7th step of inverse cultivation. He had also finished cultivating phase 1 of his immemorial celestial body. Furthermore, he possessed the bloodline of emperors. Even though King Chunxing was the heir to the first ancient god emperor, he was simply a royal ancient god. He would be weakened due to his inferior bloodline power. Hence, Jian Wushuang was definitely stronger than King Qinsheng. King Qinsheng was no match for Jian Wushuang due to the reasons above, and was oppressed in battle. King Qinsheng. An angry bellow was heard. King Qinsheng looked up immediately. He saw that 4 of Jian Wushuang's arms were gripping a single sword. A wave of shocking sword essence rose and skyrocketed. Sword Principal Xian Lu, blast rainstorm. Get down. Jian Wushuang roared as his blade, with the speed of a gale and the power of a hurricane, swept out. The emphasis of this move was on the power. King Qinsheng's eyes turned bloodshot. He channeled his divine power as his fist punched out with a force equivalent to a real meteorite. Bang! An earth-shaking sound was heard as waves of divine power flooded the entire heaven and earth. The result, King Qinsheng fell towards the ground, trembling. A large ditch was formed. On the other hand, Jian Wushuang stood upright and unharmed. He looked down into the ditch. King Qinsheng, do you submit to me? Chapter 2074. Outrageously unreasonable, King Qinsheng, do you submit? The voice of Jian Wushuang was so loud that it could be heard above Cloud 9. It was as though his voice represented the will of Heaven Wei as it reverberated through heaven and earth. Upon witnessing this sight, the surrounding ancient gods respected Jian Wushuang even more. Within the ditch, King Qinsheng stood and looked up. 2 thin rays of light burst forth. Jokes! King Qinsheng bellowed and tried to move. Jian Wushuang stood tall in the void. 4 of his hands gripped his Blood Mountain sword tightly. He used Blast Rainstorm from Sword Principal Xian Luo again. Get down! Jian Wushuang bellowed. King Qinsheng, who was trying to fly out of the ditch, was once again flooded by sword lights. He dropped back into the ditch again. Do you submit? Jian Wushuang yelled once again. Bastard! King Qinsheng cursed. Jian Wushuang swung his sword once again. Boom! The entire earth shook. Do you submit? Jian Wushuang yelled again. You wish. King Qinsheng replied. Boom! Another wave of sword light came. Do you submit? Boom! Do you submit? Never! Boom! Do you submit? The ancient gods watching this battle were dumbfounded. Their eyes widened as they saw the scene. They saw that Jian Wushuang kept on swinging his sword and kept on asking if King Qinsheng would submit. When King Qinsheng refused to submit, he would be met with another wave of sword light from Jian Wushuang. King Qinsheng was obviously a punching bag and had no chance to fight back. This method Jian Wushuang was using to get King Qinsheng to submit shocked the remaining ancient gods present. It was domineering and unreasonable. Jian Wushuang was like a gangster, utterly unreasonable and domineering. He did not waste any time with King Qinsheng by trying to persuade him to submit. He simply asked a simple question, do you submit? If the reply was no, he would attack. Jian Wushuang would attack until King Qinsheng decided to submit even though he was already buried in the ground. King Qinsheng was one of the most powerful 9-star ancient gods. His fighting power had reached stage 2, but he still was no match for Jian Wushuang. Boom, boom, boom. Jian Wushuang used the fuller to perform his sword skills. Each impact made a loud sound that could be heard clearly. Clearly, he was using power to suppress King Qinsheng. King Qinsheng had no chance to recover himself as the endless waves of sword skills collided with his back. In the blink of an eye, Jian Wushuang attacked numerous times. Each time he attacked, he asked King Qinsheng to submit. Initially, King Qinsheng would struggle madly and had wanted to fight back. After a while, he stopped. Boom! Another collision occurred, and King Qinsheng was completely buried underground. Do you submit? Jian Wushuang bellowed once more. At the bottom of the crater, King Qinsheng kept quiet. He thought for a while before he growled, I will only submit if you can be recognized by my father. Oh! Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrow as he stopped his sword in midair. King Qinsheng could finally catch his breath before he rose from the crater. King Qinsheng was in a bad state. His hair was messy, there were blood stains on his lips, and his silver armor had several gashes left by a sword. He stood there with anger in his eyes. However, there was fear too. This fear. During the brief battle, he had become fearful of Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang had given him a mental scar from his unreasonable actions and his terrifying fighting power. Since his birth in the First Era till now, he had never met a person so unreasonable. To make matters worse, this person was stronger than him. King Qinsheng, you just said that if I could be recognized by your father, you would submit to me. Your father is the first ancient god emperor. How can I get his recognition? Jian Wushuang asked. King Qinsheng took a deep breath before he spoke. My father was one of the strongest men alive back in the First Era. Even though my father died when the First Era ended, he left behind a conscience within an old grave. This grave is located within the ancient god sanctuary. All you need to do is to enter the ancient emperor grave and gain the recognition of my father's conscience. If you can do so, I will support you in becoming our new emperor. I will listen to your orders without fail. However, if you cannot, I will never listen to you even if everyone else does. Ancient emperor grave? Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. Master, within the ancient god sanctuary, there is an ancient emperor grave. According to legend, the ancient god emperor did leave a consciousness within. King Qinsheng is not lying, the king of venomous worms whispered to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang nodded his head lightly before looking at King Luoyu. King Luoyu. The voice reverberated in the air. Beside the pile of ruins of what used to be the estate, King Luoyu and the other ancient gods were waiting patiently. They saw what had just happened with their own eyes. At that point in time, King Luoyu, King Guyu, King Gutong and the remaining ancient gods were dumbfounded. They came back to their senses after Jian Wushuang shouted for King Luoyu. They started walking towards Jian Wushuang. Those who supported King Qinsheng did not stop them. Sword Emperor, King Luoyu walked beside Jian Wushuang and saluted him. It was obvious that he respected the Sword Emperor even more than he had before. This was normal as the only reason he supported Jian Wushuang in being the new emperor was because he had the bloodline of emperors. He had not considered the fighting power of the Sword Emperor. But King Qinsheng, who was a 9-star ancient god and had the fighting power of a stage 2 great emperor, had been crushed in a battle against the Sword Emperor. This fighting power alone surprised him as he was fully convinced that the Sword Emperor had the ability to be the new emperor. Everyone else who had just watched the battle was convinced too. Even though bloodline power was supreme in the ancient god clan, they would still respect the people who were powerful. Jian Wushuang not only had the bloodline of emperors, he also had the strongest fighting power in the clan. To get the right to become the new emperor of the ancient god clan, one had to possess both qualities. Chapter 2075. Ancient Emperor's Grave. King Luoyu, do you know of this grave? Jian Wushuang asked. Yes, King Luoyu said as he nodded his head. It was left behind by ancient god emperor. The conscience of ancient god emperor resides within the grave. It is our sanctuary. However, this grave opens once every 1,000,000 years. The last time the grave opened was around 300,000 years ago. If you want to enter, you will have to wait another 700,000 years. 700,000 years? Jian Wushuang looked at King Xingchen coldly as his face turned black. Are you trying to make a fool out of me? I have no intentions of making a fool out of you. It is true that it takes another 700,000 years for the ancient emperor's grave to open by itself. However, this grave is controlled by my father's conscience. If you are worthy, my father will open the grave and allow you to enter immediately. King Qinsheng grunted. Jian Wushuang hesitated before nodding his head. I will try to enter the ancient emperor's grave. Sword Emperor. King Qinsheng is trying to make your life difficult. You can afford to ignore him as 99% of the ancient gods will support you in becoming the next ancient god emperor due to your superior bloodline power, King Luoyu said anxiously. No worries, Jian Wushuang said as he waved King Luoyu off. He already knew what he had to do. Jian Wushuang did not think of killing or exiling King Qinsheng. King Qinsheng was a stage 2 great emperor and would prove to be crucial in the final battle against 3 emperor world. Furthermore, he could not help but respect the ability of King Qinsheng as he had single-handedly molded the ancient god clan into one of the strongest clans in the era. If he could get King Qinsheng to listen to him wholeheartedly, he could rest assured and leave the ancient god clan to King Qinsheng when he left ancient god sanctuary. He would fight for this possibility. Another important reason was the ancient emperor's grave. The first ancient god emperor was one of the strongest men back in the First Era. His power and ability was much stronger than that of any great emperors. Jian Wushuang was extremely interested in the things these kind of super experts would leave behind. Now he had received the news that such a grave exists. Even if King Qinsheng did not raise entering the grave as one of his conditions, Jian Wushuang would still venture into the grave. King Qinsheng, take me to the ancient emperor's grave, Jian Wushuang said. Yes, King Qinsheng said as he led the way without hesitation. Jian Wushuang, King Luo Yu and the other top-tier ancient god followed suit. Ancient emperor's grave was located in the middle of the ancient god sanctuary. It was the holiest place in the hearts of most ancient gods. This place would be flooded with people every million years when it would open its doors. On a normal day like this, no one would be around. However, every ancient god who was at least 7 stars had gathered here. The leaders of them were the 3 9-star ancient gods, King Qinsheng, King Luo Yu and King Zhansong. These 3 leaders stood cautiously beside a young man. Is this the ancient emperor's grave? Jian Wushuang said with his hands behind his back. He was looking at a cave within a formation. The cave was gigantic and the formation was extremely powerful. This is the entrance. Every time the grave opens, people of this clan will enter that way. Even if the grave is not open today, that is the only way you can take to enter forcibly, King Qinsheng said as he pointed towards a certain part of the formation. Jian Wushuang nodded lightly. Sword Emperor, this grave was left behind by the first ancient god emperor using unimaginable means. Even after so long, no one had ever managed to enter forcibly. All those who tried, including King Qinsheng, were at least 8-star ancient gods. All those who tried failed and died inside, except for King Qinsheng. Please reconsider carefully, King Luo Yu said as his eyebrows were knitted closely together. After hearing all this, are you afraid? If you are, leave this place immediately. You can get all the support from the other ancient gods. Just don't come looking for me, King Qinsheng said coldly. Afraid? Since you, King Qinsheng, can walk out of the grave alive, why should I be afraid? I hope you remember your promise. Jian Wushuang smiled indifferently. Jian Wushuang took off towards the ancient emperor's grave slowly, ignoring the people who stood behind him. Even though he walked slowly, it only took him a few steps to reach the entrance of the grave. The first thing he saw at the entrance was a large flight of stairs. There were hundreds of steps and each radiated a special aura. King Qinsheng, King Luo Yu and the other ancient gods stood far away and observed quietly. Lord Qinsheng, do you think that Jian Wushuang could gain recognition from the emperor himself? King Zhansong asked curiously. Humph. Recognition? Dream on. My father was one of the strongest overlords in the First Era. His standards are extremely high. It will be extremely difficult to meet those standards. King Qinsheng smiled coldly. I bet he can't even make it past the door inside the grave, much less gain recognition. The measures my father placed around the grave are profound and unpredictable. These measures cannot not differentiate ally from foe. In the past, I tried to enter forcibly as there was an extremely urgent matter. I almost died from those measures. Even though Jian Wushuang is stronger than me, it is also impossible for him to make it past the different defensive measures my father put in place. King Zhansong was stunned. King Luo Yu, King Gu Yu and the other ancient gods became worried upon hearing this. Look, he is going to enter, a voice shouted out loud. Everyone turned their heads and looked toward the grave. Jian Wushuang stood at the base of the staircase in front of the entrance. He lifted his right leg and stepped onto the first step. The moment his right foot hit the first step, he felt an aura suppressing him, trying to stop him from advancing further. This aura targeted the bloodline power and had no effect on one's power level. Jian Wushuang smiled when he felt this aura. Immediately, another aura of an extremely powerful ancient god bloodline burst forth. Chapter 2076. The 9 war spirits Jian Wushuang had inherited Wuhan's ancient god bloodline. This bloodline was pure and gave him complete bloodline power. The first bloodline of the ancient god emperor was less pure compared to that of Jian Wushuang. Under the effect of suppression of bloodline power, most royal ancient gods would have to walk slowly, one step at a time up the steps. Some of those whose wills were weaker might not even reach the top of the steps. On the other hand, Jian Wushuang had walked up quickly. It was as though there was no suppression at all, and he walked without feeling any resistance. Even thought the suppression got stronger as the number of steps climbed increased, Jian Wushuang was not affected. Within moments he finished more than half the steps and he was not slowing down. This brat, King Chenxing, was standing on the void. Upon seeing how easily Jian Wushuang was walking up the stairs, he squinted his eyes and muttered, "As much as I do not want him to be the next ancient god emperor, I have to admit his bloodline is extremely pure. It might even be on par with my father's bloodline." King Chenxing, the sword emperor, is going to finish walking all the steps, King Zhansong said. This is normal. My father's first measure is simply suppression of bloodline power. Any royal ancient god can persist through this first measure as long as they have the will. His bloodline is even purer than most ancient gods with the royal bloodline, hence this will barely pose any problem to him, King Chenxing said indifferently. However, my father left behind 3 measures. This first measure is the easiest. The next 2 will not be so easy for him to pass. King Chenxing understood the measures well as he too had once tried to enter forcibly. Just like King Chenxing said, Jian Wushuang walked up the 100 steps easily without stopping. As soon as he set foot at open area at the top, a few blurry mirages started to solidify. Hum. A total of 9 blue mirages solidified. Their faces were unrecognizable. Every single one of them were extremely large, and they each held a different chaos divine weapon. All 9 figures scanned the area and locked on to Jian Wushuang. Intruders! Those who dare to disturb the ancient god emperor in his sleep shall die. A cold, robotic voice came out of one of the figures' mouth as the 9 of them attacked. Their aura was terrifying, and every aura was targeted and focused on Jian Wushuang. He frowned deeply as he took the situation seriously. He could tell that the 9 figures were very powerful. Boom, 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 boom. The 9 figures attacked. One of the figures held a bat that was 10 meters long and as thick as a bucket. It looked like a small hill from Jian Wushuang's perspective. However, it looked like a small plant in the hands of the figure. The figure swung the bat as it crashed towards Jian Wushuang with the momentum of heaven and earth. Another figure had 2 metal hammers for its hands. The metal hammers were gigantic. After a loud bellow, the hammers morphed into lightning and thunder as they appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. Even though the aura was not felt, one could tell how strong the attack was just by seeing the electric sparks. Another figure morphed into a humongous ancient beast in golden armor and crashed towards Jian Wushuang. He looked like a flying battle fortress. As for the other blurry figures, each attack was definitely powerful. One of the figures was an ancient god and he used the ancient god finger. What a powerful aura. What are these? Jian Wushuang thought to himself, shocked. He swung his sword at once. A special sword essence could be felt. Jian Wushuang started to devour everything around him. He looked like a huge dark vortex. Sword Principle Xian Luo, Mixed Element Spirit. Pung, 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 pung. 9 loud clashes were heard as the 9 different attacks were deflected one at a time. However, the attacks were so strong that Jian Wushuang backed off a few steps. Oh my! Everyone here at least has the fighting power of a top-tier Stage 1 Great Emperor. 2 of them have fighting powers equivalent to a Stage 2 Great Emperor. Jian Wushuang was surprised. People like Abysmal Saint Master were at the level of a top-tier Great Emperor. There were very few people at this level in the entire eternal chaotic world. However, the weakest of the 9 figures possessed fighting power at this level. 2 of them even had the fighting power of a Stage 2 Great Emperor. The battling power of this group was too powerful. King Chenxing, King Luo Yu and the other ancient gods were observing Jian Wushuang using their soul power. Their faces turned pale when they saw the 9 figures appear. These 9 figures are the 9 top-tier experts who fought with my father. They are the strongest under my father's command. Back in the First Era, every single one of them had the fighting power of a top-tier Stage 2 Great Emperor. 2 of them were even top-tier Stage 2 Great Emperors. King Qinsheng scoffed. As the First Era ended, these 9 great warriors died along with my father. However, they were absolutely loyal to him, hence they still guard him till this day in the form of a war spirit. Even though the 9 war spirits now are weaker than they were in their prime, their fighting power is still very powerful. Furthermore, all 9 are fighting Jian Wushuang together. Not any ordinary man can enter his grave. Due to this, the second measure my father put in place outside the ancient emperor grave. Back when King Qinsheng tried to enter the ancient emperor grave forcibly, he fought the 9 war spirits. He almost died on that day. Luckily, he had a powerful self-defense mechanism which allowed him to pass this test and move on. On the other hand, Jian Wusheng, even though the Sword Emperor has high fighting power, his self-defense mechanism might not be as strong as mine. Without it, he definitely cannot survive for 30 seconds. This door was the entrance to the inside of the ancient emperor's grave. Every million years, this door would open when the ancient emperor's grave opened itself to the rest of the world. Just then, the door was closed as the time was not right. A general in black armor stood in front of the door. The general was completely covered in black armor. Only his facial features could be seen. He was at least 5 meters tall and held a black spear. He stood like a statue, motionless, in front of the door. It was as though he had been there since the beginning of time. Jian Wushuang couldn't sense any aura from this man. Jian Wushuang looked towards the general in black armor. Even though he couldn't sense any aura from the general, he felt pressured the moment he laid eyes on him. This pressure was on another level compared to King Qinsheng and Great Emperor Zisu, who were all Stage 2 Great Emperors. Outside the ancient emperor's grave, King Qinsheng and the audience, too, saw the general in black armor. This is the third and last line of defense my father set. King Qinsheng thought as he clenched his fists. Back then he had entered the grave and managed to pass the first 2 levels, suppression using bloodline power and the 9 war spirits. In the end, he had met the general in front of the door. Here, he had stopped and could not advance any further. In front of the door. The moment Jian Wushuang appeared, the general in black armor, who seemed to have stood motionless for all eternity, opened his eyes. A flash of dim light, which was as fast as lightning, burst forth towards Jian Wushuang. The time for the grave to open has not come. None shall enter. You there, leave this place immediately. The general in black armor said coldly. All he did was ask Jian Wushuang to leave, contrary to the war spirits in the second line of defense who had tried to kill Jian Wushuang. When the 9 spirits appeared, they had attacked Jian Wushuang immediately and tried to kill him, though they failed. If I were to wait for this grave to open by itself, I would have to wait another 700,000 years. I cannot afford to wait for such a long time. Sorry, but I'll have to enter forcibly. Jian Wushuang smiled with absolute confidence. Jian Wushuang stopped talking and attacked the general in black armor. A terrifying aura burst forth, and the general gripped his spear tightly when Jian Wushuang attacked. Chapter 2078, The Black Armored General Xiu. A merciless spear pierced through. That speed words could not express. By the time Jian Wushuang heard that ear-piercing blast from the void, the spear was already in front of him. Jian Wushuang had moved first. Logically, he should be the one to make the first strike, but before he could even start on his sword skills, the spear had reached him. With a snigger, Jian Wushuang's Blood Mountain sword swiftly took it down. This was the strongest skill within sword principle Xian Luo, the blast rainstorm. With a gong, the sound of the strike resonated. Jian Wushuang could feel an immense power traveling across his Blood Mountain sword. This power, without a doubt, had surpassed second stage Great Emperor's powers. It was a third stage power. And from the looks of it, this one move was slightly stronger than all of Demon King Qinyes' powers had been back in 3 Emperor's world. This strength traveled up towards his body. The strong body he had after cultivating the immortal celestial body at this moment was roughed up pretty badly too. Jian Wushuang quickly retreated. As he regained his balance, the divine power within him started doing its work, and soon his injuries were all recovered. Stage 3, stronger than Demon King Qinyu? Jian Wushuang licked his lips and stared at the black-armored general. Junior, you're not stronger than me. With me guarding here, you won't make it through. The general opened his mouth again. Won't make it through? We'll see about that. Jian Wushuang sniggered and attempted to strike again. Blockhead. The general's eyes radiated death as the spear in his hand was once again put into action. Spear strikes came one after the other. The general's fighting power, once ignited, was indeed of a third-level great emperor. Faced with such an expert, Jian Wushuang could not possibly win. Suppressed at first contact, Jian Wushuang could only now resist with his almost invincible self-defense mechanism. Outside the ancient emperor's residence stood many ancient gods, all astonished by the ongoing battle. So powerful! That black-armored general, he's too strong. The Sword Emperor himself is already an extraordinary being, having suppressed King Qinsheng. But against the general, it feels like a whole new level. The disparity is quite big. The Sword Emperor has been completely suppressed. The ancient gods could not help giving praise. I knew it, this Sword Emperor may be strong after passing those two obstacles, but passing the last challenge, that's impossible. Demon King Qinsheng sniggered, a grin on his face in front of the residence's huge gates. Jian Wushuang was still being suppressed by the general in an almost pathetic manner, relying purely on his self-defense mechanism to keep up. Junior, my patience has its limits. You can't defeat me. Leave now, or don't blame me for teaching you a lesson. The black-armored general's voice was cold and harsh. Teaching me a lesson? We'll see about that. Jian Wushuang smiled back without hesitation. That instantly infuriated the general. He stopped holding back. An ear-piercing roar resonated through the entire void, and even Jian Wushuang couldn't help but look up. What he saw was a deep, subtle flash. It was pitch black, with not a single mark of impurity, glaring as it shone. Not only Jian Wushuang, but even the ancient gods outside the ancient emperor's grave were mesmerized by it. This eye-catching flash was actually the eerie shadow of the general's spear. The spear had left the general's hand with such explosive speed, it was already reaching Jian Wushuang. Too fast. A speed beyond Jian Wushuang's comprehension. Gosh, I'm not going to be able to block it? Jian Wushuang was astonished. He had intended to use his swordsmanship to block it, but found himself unable to catch up with the spear. He could do nothing but watch as the spear approached. Ultimately, without obstruction, the spear pierced through his body. A power so strong it could have pierced heaven and earth went through him. Jian Wushuang shook. That power was weakened by half passing through his 5-gem amour, but whatever remained was still powerful enough to pierce a bowl-sized hole through his body. Jian Wushuang, still in shock, was taken aback by the blast. Is he dead? The general, with death in his eyes, gazed upon Jian Wushuang. But suddenly, Jian Wushuang, still being thrown aback from the blast, stopped abruptly within the void. Jian Wushuang had his eyes fixated upon the general once again, the hole in his body now long gone. What? The black-armored general was obviously surprised. He had just put a hole through Jian Wushuang. Normal cultivators would have either been dead or greatly wounded by now. But the man before him, he showed no sign of weakness. His injury had already recovered. His recovery speed, how could it be so fast? Impressive. That was quite the spear. If I'm not wrong, there were some rules of order within it, right? Jian Wushuang said with a tinge of excitement. You know about that? The general was surprised, restraining himself. He stood statue-like once again, speaking coldly. Your self-defense mechanisms and restorative powers are impressive. I am unable to kill you. But you are still unable to pass me. So please leave. Unable? I don't think so. Jian Wushuang gave a cold laugh. Ancient God Emperor, you thought I wouldn't be able to tell someone was controlling this body I'm fighting with? The general's pupils constricted upon the words, ancient god emperor, a sharp glare could be seen in his eyes. The method of planting some consciousness within this Tao soldier, therefore controlling it? I've done it before. These kinds of tricks are no mystery to me, Jian Wushuang sniggered. The Tao soldier you control is very powerful himself, but a Tao soldier remains a Tao soldier. I can tell with a glance. Controlling a Tao soldier, demonstrating third stage great emperor powers with rules of order with the power of consciousness alone, within these grounds, who else could it be but you, ancient god emperor? Chapter 2079 Ancient God Emperor. Under the huge gates, the black-armored general's eyes shimmered in astonishment, fixated on Jian Wushuang. After a moment of silence, the general finally spoke. You are smart, but even if you know this Tao soldier's being controlled by the ancient god emperor, what else can you do? If you were alive, defending your gates with your consciousness-controlled Tao soldier alone would suffice. But what's left of you is that very strand of consciousness, and a brittle one. It's already extremely difficult for you to remain within these gates, don't even bother mentioning engaging in battle. Which means to say, the longer your soldier fights with me, the more damage it brings to your strand of consciousness. That's why you didn't want to fight me from the very beginning, convincing me to leave. Am I right? Jian Wushuang grinned as he watched the general. The general was fully covered in his black armor, so Jian Wushuang could not see if he had had a change in facial expression. But he did sense something change through the general's eyes. Under these circumstances, the only way to block me is to kill me swiftly, which you had just attempted. You couldn't do it. Even if I can't defeat you, as long as I force you to engage in battle with me, let's see how long your consciousness will last, Jian Wushuang sniggered. The general's glance shifted, facing Jian Wushuang again. You're right, with simply my consciousness, I can't block you. Since it has to be this way, come on in. After being said, the ancient residence gates, scribbled with weird marks and drawings of ancient beasts, rumbled and slowly opened behind the general. A broad pathway appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. As for that black-armored general, he was now stationed beside the residence's gates, eyes shut, reverting to his original statue form. Seeing the gates now being opened for him, Jian Wushuang showed a faint smile and made his way in. Outside the ancient emperor's residence, countless ancient gods had their eyes fixated on that entrance. When they saw the gates open, each and every one of them was astonished. How is that even possible? King Chunxing was even more bewildered. He knew how terrifying the general was. When he had first fought the general, a strike of the spear had been enough to badly wound him. He had almost lost his life then. Without a choice, he had had to leave. But now, Jian Wushuang had even defeated the general? He actually made it through the 3 obstacles my father left behind? King Chunxing appeared extremely gloomy, before snorting, even if he made it in, my father may not approve him. My father was one of the strongest in the first era. You think it's easy receiving his approval? That thought remained lingering in King Chunxing's heart. The huge, ancient place was a place of wonders. Even challenges could be found within it. But these challenges were reserved for the weaker ancient god clan people when they entered once every 1 million years. It meant nothing to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang had made his way through without any more obstacles. Before long, he reached the deepest part of the residence. There, a hazy figure was seen sitting cross-legged. It was a strong man in gold robes, his height beyond 3 meters. There he sat. The first impression he gave people was the word Lionheart, and within it an undeniable authority and dignity. This air of authority was as if he had the entire world under his foot. Countless experts were simply ants to him. In a glance, Jian Wushuang knew who the other person was. Greetings to you, ancient god emperor. Jian Wushuang gave a small bow as a form of respect. Jian Wushuang? The ancient god emperor gave him a glance. You're good. Only an 8-star ancient god, that's simply an emperor god amongst human cultivators. But your fighting power is obviously on par with second-stage great emperors. Even my 9 great war spirits couldn't stop you. Such impressive leapfrogging skills. You remind me of someone by the name of Emperor Bai. Have you heard of this person? Jian Wushuang's expression changed. Emperor Bai was from the first era. Of course the ancient god emperor knew about him. Emperor Bai is not the leader of the Sanctuary Alliance. Both he and I practice inverse cultivation, Jian Wushuang replied. Indeed, the ancient god emperor smiled indifferently, unsurprised. In the beginning, that kiddo Emperor Bai was the same as you, nothing more than an emperor god. But his fighting power kept the weaker second stage great emperors real busy. People then started to infer that it had to do with his unique method of cultivation, leading to the discovery of inverse cultivation. There were a few third-stage great emperors back then who were interested in his method and wanted to snatch it away from him. In the end, the third-stage great emperors were powerless, even though they had joined hands, even though Kiddo had peak second-stage fighting powers. When he surpassed great emperor levels, no one could touch him. The Kiddo's defense mechanisms were the same as yours. Hearing that, Jian Wushuang gasped silently. He had heard things regarding Emperor Bai, like how he was one of the strongest during the First Era. But he could not be compared to elites like Ancient God Emperor and Sword Emperor Dugu. Furthermore, Ancient God Emperor was way more ancient than Emperor Bai. It only made sense that he called Emperor Bai Kiddo. But the Emperor Bai of today couldn't be compared to how he was back in the First Era. According to Emperor Bai, he was now at the peak of the third stage, almost between that and the fourth stage. That kind of fighting power would be slightly stronger than Ancient God Emperor's prime. I didn't like that, Kiddo. Nor do I like you. Ancient God Emperor gazed upon Jian Wushuang with that same air of authority surrounding him, and said, "You know, it's hard to keep my strand of consciousness around. The reason why the gates open once every 1 million years is because it takes a lot of energy to control whatever I need once it opens, and this energy only fully regenerates after 1 million years. You barging in this time has forced my consciousness to awaken. Having offended me this way, if I had more than simply that strand of consciousness, I would have killed you." As he spoke, a murderous aura covered Jian Wushuang. Please go to read the latest chapters for free. Chapter 2080 Soul Memory, confirmed. Hong, that murderous aura covered Jian Wushuang. The ancient god emperor may have had nothing left but his strand of consciousness, but that was more than enough to shake the heavens. The awesome, murderous aura of the ancient god emperor would have brought others to heal by now, but not him. Jian Wushuang remained standing, emotionless. The aura was nothing more than a gentle wind to his face. Composed, the ancient god emperor's face broadened to a grin, that murderous aura of his now long gone. "What do you seek, Kiddo?" "I want to be a new emperor of the ancient god clan, and I need your approval," Jian Wushuang replied. "Ha, the ancient god clan has always prioritized bloodline over everything. You possess the perfect bloodline, which is something I myself dare not claim. That along with your skill set, the entire clan should have embraced you by now. Why seek my approval?" The ancient god emperor smiled. "The other clansmen are naturally fine with it, but King Qinsheng insists," Jian Wushuang replied. "Qinsheng? That kid?" The ancient god emperor's expression changed. He had 3 sons, of which Qinsheng was the youngest and his dearest. When the first era collapsed, it had cost him an arm and a leg to keep Qinsheng alive, along with others. King Qinsheng's abilities are decent. I'm hoping to win him over. With him by my side, I'll be better equipped to take charge of the ancient god clan, Jian Wushuang said. "I see," the ancient god emperor replied in realization and laughed. "Kiddo, I have high standards, you should know that by now. You want my approval, you'll have to let me get a good look at you. Don't resist." As he spoke, a mysterious power rose from his body and charged towards Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang frowned, but he could feel that the power was of no threat to him, so he did not resist. The power entered into his body and blanketed his substantive soul. "HM?" Jian Wushuang realized. "Checking my soul memory. Impressive move." Soul memory refers to the memory one possesses the moment he gains his soul power, recording everything the person experiences. Knowing the ancient god emperor's intentions, Jian Wushuang did not hide much, except for some hidden memories about his past, which he locked instantly. Even the ancient god emperor could not access it, only viewing what Wushuang wanted him to see. That did not frustrate the ancient god emperor as he started to view these memories. From these memories, he saw two important things. The first memory was when he kept the pillar intact with the lineage of stars, leading to the demise of the Star Palace Master. Jian Wushuang, with thunder-like strikes, had used the lineage of stars and managed to survive against the punitive expeditions of other forces, allowing the lineage of stars to be recognized as the top powers by the Sanctuary Alliance. The second memory was outside the Green Fire world. Jian Wushuang was alone, against the experts in the eternal chaotic world. Against so many enemies from so many clans and tribes, he stood firm. This Green Fire world is my hometown. Whoever dares lay a finger on it will die. Asking the cultivators to leave the Green Fire world? They'll be the first to say never. So will the countless cultivators on this land, and our forefathers who came before us. Even if it means burning to ashes, we will fight for this land, till the very last man is down, till the last drop of blood is shed. We will never give in. Every word Jian Wushuang said, including the aura of defiance, to look death calmly in the face, was all captured by the ancient god emperor. Yet the ancient god emperor's eyes showed nostalgia. That had been a long time ago when the first era was about to collapse. Countless experts from the first era, himself included, had all looked death straight in the eye during their battle. That unyielding defiance was to protect what they had. Exactly the same as Jian Wushuang with his Green Fire world. Seeing this, the ancient god emperor could not help but display excitement. "Ha, I kinda like you now, kiddo," the emperor burst into laughter. "For someone to look death straight in the eye, for your friends and family? I like people like you. Do I have your approval?" Jian Wushuang asked the emperor. "I approve, of course I do. If an able leader like yourself is willing to carry this responsibility of leading the ancient god clan, I believe we will survive through all challenges. Furthermore, not only will I make you the new emperor for our ancient god clan, I'll present you with the greatest gift you can find over here." The ancient god emperor's laughter resonated, and with a flip of his hand, 3 drops of gilded blood essence appeared. Jian Wushuang was mesmerized by it. He could feel the billowing power within those 3 drops. The ancient god power, purer and stronger than any other blood essences he had seen. The ancient god emperor said solemnly, "Great pains were made to form the blood essence, every drip containing immense ancient god power. I've only collected 5 in my life, of which 1 I transferred to Chengxing in my era. The remaining 4 followed me to this grave. Many years ago, a lad named Luo Yu came and passed my test, so I passed him 1, leaving 3. These 3 drops, I had intended to slowly pass down to future generations. But now, I've decided to give you everything. Cultivate and absorb it, it'll help you too." As he finished talking, the 3 drops of blood were already floating towards Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang was alerted, but did not reject it. The 3 drops immediately integrated themselves into his body, the ancient god power billowing from within. Jian Wushuang started to cultivate the blood essence to the best of his ability. It goes without saying that 3 drops of blood were too much. 1 drop was beyond Jian Wushuang's imagination, and now 3? Please go to read the latest chapters for free. At the residence's core, Jian Wushuang stood quietly, his divine power and aura finally calming down. His eyes were opened, and within it existed a concentrated, powerful light. Those 2 streaks of light in his eyes were like lightning, sparkling. Previously, there were only 8 ancient god stars between his eyes. But now, there were 9. The 9 stars meant he had finally reached 9-star ancient god levels. A 9-star ancient god, specifically a 9-star of the ancient clan. This level meant he had reached great emperor levels amongst human cultivators. Reading these levels, it meant that Jian Wushuang's ancient clan bloodline power would undergo unprecedented changes. Its explosive power would definitely be an improvement. This also meant that when Jian Wushuang performed the ancient god clan's secret skills and unique skills, he'd be more powerful than ever before. His divine body had now also improved, not as ridiculously as when he jumped from the first stage of the 7th step of inverse cultivation to the 2nd stage, but equally significant. This was all thanks to the complete absorption of the 3 drops of ancient god blood essence, along with learning the complete moon-picking skill. During the skill-imparting process, Jian Wushuang had also interacted with greater knowledge of spacetime. Now that the moon-picking skill had truly been imparted to him, he had also made improvements regarding his spacetime understanding and reached 9th level Doctrine Palace standards. The 9th level seemed close to the pinnacle of the 8th level, but were in fact miles apart. Previously, Jian Wushuang had only had an advantage against other great emperors in terms of pure power, but not his understanding. Every great emperor had a minimal 9th level Doctrine Palace understanding, and now Jian Wushuang had finally caught up. This step had caused a qualitative change in his overall power. Before I stepped into the ancient emperor's grave, I was one of the top few second-stage great emperors with the help of my inverse cultivation, immemorial celestial body and more, but now. Please go to read the latest chapters for free. Chapter 2082 Submission. The pinnacle of second stage, the best around. Even if I got caught up with a third-stage great emperor like that demon King Qinyu, I won't be able to defeat him per se, but at least he'll be able to put up a fight. Jian Wushuang clutched his hands as he felt the greatly improved bloodline power flowing within him along with the power to controlling surrounding time-space. He was ecstatic. He had analyzed previously, and as long as he improved in understanding in time-space doctrine or reincarnation doctrine, he would reach the pinnacle second-stage great emperor levels. Now, not only had he made that step forward in the time-space doctrine, he was now a 9-star ancient god too. Naturally, he was now stronger than previously expected. Thank you, O ancient emperor. Jian Wushuang bowed in front of him, but this time it was sincere. After all, the ancient god emperor was the reason behind this newfound strength. No need to thank me. If you are able to lead the ancient god clan out of that calamity, simply keeping the clan alive will be good enough for me, the ancient god emperor laughed heartily. O ancient emperor, what calamity are you referring to? Jian Wushuang frowned. No need to rush, you'll encounter it soon, or maybe you've already have. Time will tell, the ancient god emperor smiled faintly. The reason I left my strand of consciousness here was to find a new leader for the ancient god clan. Now that I have this residence in my consciousness, he has no reason to be around. As he spoke, Jian Wushuang could feel the surrounding residence shaking crazily. This form of vibration was violent in unprecedented degrees as major boulders collapsed. At the same time, the already hazy, translucent figure that was the ancient god emperor's consciousness was beginning to fade away. Jian Wushuang naturally understood what was happening. With a deep breath, he took another bow. Farewell, O great emperor. The ancient god emperor kept that smile the entire way, eyes fixated on Jian Wushuang as he eventually became nothing. Ancient god emperor, the super expert of the first era, had now vanished. Outside the residence, King Qinxing, King Luo Yu and other experts from the ancient god clan were waiting quietly. What Jian Wushuang did outside the gates was within their line of sight. But as the gates opened, what happened after Jian Wushuang entered? No one knew. They waited for 3 days and nothing. It's already been 3 days, what is the Sword Emperor doing inside? King Qinxing was stone-faced. He still did not believe Jian Wushuang would receive his father's approval. But at that moment, Hong Long Long, such an enormous place began to shake crazily. The shaking became more and more intense, even shaking the heavens. What's going on? What's happening? The ancient gods were all confused and looked towards the grave in astonishment. Suddenly, an aura of unyielding authority and magnanimity rose up from the grave to the heavens. Slowly, it formed a hazy figure of a man in gold robes. The experts all seemed like ants, being so high above the heavens. This aura, King Qinxing stared daggers at that figure that rose from the grave. Father! Qinxing called out immediately. King! Oh my king! The ancient gods below all looked up in awe and fervor. Ancient God Emperor, the first leader of the ancient god clan, was an irreplaceable figure for many ancient gods. And now, the ancient god emperor spoke slowly as the rest watched. That unyielding authority could be felt in his voice as it resonated around the entire area. From today onwards, Jian Wushuang will be the new leader of the ancient god clan. All clansmen who dare disobey or disrespect him will have their actions seen as open defiance. There will be no mercy for those who do as such. As he ended his speech, the ancient god emperor's figure gradually dissipated into thin air. Sky-devouring clan? Jian Wushuang's facial expression changed. There were 4 top clans amongst the special tribes. The Sky-devouring clan was one of the 4, like the ancient god clan. Both had their own sanctuaries, and their strength and influence were not to be messed with. But now, suspected experts from the Archelon Palace or Holocaust sect were seen on Sky-devouring grounds. Suspicious actions from the Sky-devouring clan themselves? Emperor Bai, what you're saying is that the Sky-devouring clan is now siding with the 3 emperors' world? Jian Wushuang asked. I can't be sure about that, but it's possible. After all, that clan's the most eccentric of the 4 top clans. The other 3 would never switch sides. But them? Maybe, Emperor Bai replied. Understood, I'll do my best to figure out what's happening, Jian Wushuang replied. Be careful, if you get into trouble and can't settle it with your ancient god clan alone, let me know. I'll send people from the Sanctuary Alliance. With that being said, Emperor Bai disconnected the transmission. Jian Wushuang remained there in his throne, but his face was now darkened. The Sky-devouring clan, as one of the top 4 clans, has so much influence on the other clans. If the Sky-devouring clan really swapped sides, that would be a big blow for those clans that follow it. I hope the leader of the Sky Devourers are not that foolish. If not, Jian Wushuang had a cold gaze. With a new ancient god emperor emerging from the ancient god clan, a coronation ceremony was planned for a month from now, with many tribes and clans coming over to attend. This news took the entire special tribe domain by storm. Many experts from tribes and clans all over were shocked when they heard the news. After all, after the ancient god emperor collapsed from the first era, there was not another ancient god emperor. The affairs within the ancient god clan were always handled by King Chenxing, and for a long period now. But now, a new emperor? And not King Chenxing, but an ancient god expert with true bloodline of emperors? And this new emperor was from the human domain? Please go to read the latest chapters for free. After the ceremony was over, the ancient god clan hosted a grand feast. During this feast, there were more experts from other tribes than there were from the ancient god clan themselves. With a glance one could see that there were more than 1,000 men. These 1,000 men, each of them at least an almighty, behind them each was an impressive tribe. Of course, only the people who had attained almighty levels and above could attend the feast. Those weaker tribes without almighties were not even invited. After all, they would be useless in the battle against the 3 emperors' world. At the center of the feast sat the star of the feast, Jian Wushuang. He looked down. Everyone. As Jian Wushuang spoke, the noise and ruckus below immediately stopped. The reason I have invited you all today is for everyone here to bear witness to this succession ceremony. But also, there is something I need to discuss with everyone here. It regards the lives and deaths of everyone here. The crowd started to murmur. Many experts frowned upon hearing what Jian Wushuang said, but more of them showed no change in expression. They had long guessed the true intention of this feast. Ancient Emperor, may I ask, this issue you mention, is it the same issue the Sanctuary Alliance messaged all of us about? One man below asked. That is correct. Jian Wushuang nodded. Most of you should have received the message before, and should understand the situation the eternal chaotic world is undergoing right now. From the Holocaust sect, to the Archelon Palace, and now the 3 Emperors' world. They have formed an alliance, with the 3 Emperors' world leading it. This is too big a threat against our eternal chaotic world. They obviously intend to destroy this entire world. At this juncture, the experts amongst us must gather together to resist, and put up a fight together if need be. If we still treat this lightly by the time the enemy strikes, it will be too late for us to even form an alliance by then. Please go to read the latest chapters for free. Chapter 2085 The Tribes Unite? O Ancient Emperor! Someone stood up as Jian Wushuang ended his speech. It was a black-robed old man who let off an eerie aura. King Chen Xing, standing beside Jian Wushuang, whispered, "That man is the leader of the Black Bone clan, Heiqi. Although their clan cannot be compared to the top 4 clans, their abilities are not to be underestimated. Furthermore, they follow the Sky-Swallowing clan." Jian Wushuang understood. "Clan Elder Heiqi, may I know your thoughts?" Jian Wushuang smiled back. "O Ancient Emperor, I myself have received the message from the Sanctuary Alliance. But in my humble opinion, this fight is only between the 3 Emperors' world and the humans, and has nothing to do with us special tribes. Even if it is the Holocaust sect or the Archilon Palace, they are only active in human domains, very rarely do they step on our grounds. If it is a battle amongst humans, we special tribes have no need to interfere," Heiqi replied. This caused a slight commotion within the crowd. Jian Wushuang watched the crowd from above, and saw how they responded. He replied, "Looks like you have not fully grasped the severity of this issue, Clan Elder Heiqi. Indeed, we have never interfered in human matters, and vice versa. Of course we would not interfere if it was a simple war between the humans. But this issue, do you really think it only involves humans? Everyone, let me show you all a projected image." As he spoke, Jian Wushuang waved his hand. Instantly, a large projected image appeared above the void. In that projection was the great dark millstone. As the millstone moved, it crushed everything. Everywhere it went, every inch of grass, every domain, and countless cultivators were all crushed into ash. Nothing remained. And as it turned, the millstone expanded exponentially. Seeing this, all the experts were shocked. "O Ancient Emperor, what is this thing in the projection?" A clan elder inquired. "This is the Dark Millstone. As you can see, it devours everything in its path, and within the millstone lies the 3 Emperors' world. This is the source of the crisis the Sanctuary Alliance has warned us of." But rest assured, a team of experts from the Sanctuary Alliance had barged into the 3 Emperors' world and destroyed the energy source within it, stopping the millstone, but at a great cost, Jian Wushuang said. As they heard that the millstone had stopped, the experts all heaved a sigh of relief. Even as a projection, they all saw how terrifying the millstone was. Without a doubt, if the millstone continued to expand, the entire eternal chaotic world would go down in flames. "O Ancient Emperor," Heiqi from the Black Bone clan spoke once again. "The millstone is indeed terrifying, but it has not appeared in our special tribe's domain, and as you've said, it had stopped. It poses no more threat. In this case, the only enemies of the 3 Emperor world are the humans." Heiqi could not finish his sentence. "Foolish." Jian Wushuang interrupted him in a fit of rage. "O Ancient Emperor, what do you mean?" Heiqi's face darkened, a tinge of anger visible through his eyes. "I called you foolish, unbelievably foolish." Jian Wushuang pointed at Heiqi and scolded, "I really have my doubts on how you became clan leader. What stupid words you've said. You say since the millstone has stopped and has not affected our special tribe domain, it's not our enemy? That's like saying the enemy was about to strike you with his sword, but was blocked by another. You being the stupid one then begin to say the enemy was not going for you? The enemy was just playing around? Ha, must you really wait for the sword to pierce your heart before you admit the enemy was going for you? Clan Elder Heiqi, the logic is clear even to a 3-year-old. An Emperor God expert like you, the leader of a clan, can't even understand it? You dare say you're not foolish? Jian Wushuang showed no restraint. Chapter 2086. Special Tribes Alliance, you're right. One of the leaders from a special tribe stood up and said, "This tribe had no prior connection with either the Ancient God clan or the Sky-Swallowing clan." He continued solemnly, "We had our suspicions that the 3 Emperor world was up to no good when the Sanctuary Alliance sent us the message. I have already held my own meeting with a few clans before today. Furthermore, the experts in my clan are prepared and ready for what is to come. All we need is a leader to lead us into battle. If the Ancient God Emperor is willing to lead us, we will fight alongside you in this battle." The various clan leaders spoke the truth. When the Sanctuary Alliance sent out the warning, most of the clans started their preparation for war. However, the special tribes were different from the Sanctuary Alliance. They did not have an organization. Even if the clans were willing to fight, there was no one to round them up and organize a fighting force. It would be difficult for the individual clans to make any moves as it was too dangerous. During these times of crisis, the 4 top-tier clans would usually step up and gather the different clans to fight together. However, the actions of the 4 top-tier clans this time were mysterious. Furthermore, there were differences in power even though all 4 clans were categorized as top-tier clans. Among the special tribes, all that a clan needed to have to be classified as top-tier was for them to have a certain number of almighty and at least one great emperor around. Clans like the God Eater clan and the Blackwater Dragon barely made the cut to be categorized as a top-tier clan. Even though they wanted to organize a fighting force, their influence was limited compared to the other 2 top-tier clans, the Ancient God clan and the Sky Swallowing clan. The Ancient God clan and the Sky Swallowing clan were the legitimate rulers among the special tribes. They were far more powerful and had a stronger foundation compared to the initial 2 clans. Furthermore, there was more than one great emperor within each clan. For example, within the Ancient God clan, there had been 2 great emperors since the earliest days. King Zhang and Jian Wushuang eventually joined their ranks to make the clan even stronger. Even though there were not many people from the Sky Swallowing clan, they were definitely powerful. According to myths, they had as many as 3 great emperors. Under normal circumstances, as long as any of these top-tier clans would step up and take the lead, it would be enough to gather the special tribes. However, the 2 top-tier clans did not take the lead. Ancient God clan had just had a civil war and no one knew what the mysterious Sky Swallowing clan was doing. It was not until after the end of their civil war when the new Ancient God Emperor, Jian Wushuang, gathered the various leaders of the special tribes. Most of these leaders were already willing to participate in the fight. The remaining leaders made up their minds when they saw the Dark Millstone. Ancient God Emperor, my clan is willing to fight. My clan will fight too. Voices of different leaders echoed out as they stood up to show their willingness to fight. Even the leaders of the 2 remaining top-tier clans, the Blackwater Dragon clan and the God Eater clan, declared that they would fight. All who had yet to declare their stance among the crowd was Sky Swallowing clan and the Blackbone clan. At the banquet, the various leaders and experts looked at the quiet Ba Su. Jian Wushuang shifted his view and looked at Ba Su as well. Mr. Ba Su, what is the stance of the Sky Swallowing clan? Jian Wushuang asked politely. Ba Su looked up slightly and smiled devilishly. He spoke, the 3 Emperors' world is the common enemy of the eternal chaotic world. Since everyone here is willing to fight, the Sky Swallowing clan will definitely fight together with everyone. However, they were too weak to do anything. They were extremely unwilling for the leader of the Sky Swallowing clan to be nominated to become the leader of the Special Tribes Alliance. Even though they were unwilling for this to happen, they did not dare to stand up and go against the Sky Swallowing clan. That would be equal to shaming them. Most of the leaders present were in this predicament. They shifted their gazes to the 3 top-tier clans. They first scanned the leader of the God Eater clan and the Blackwater Dragon clan before they shook their heads. They knew that even though those 2 were all top-tier clans, it would not be possible for them to stand up against the Sky Swallowing clan. Hence, they all looked at their last hope, the Ancient God clan. It was the only clan that could stand against the Sky Swallowing clan. Everyone set their sights on Jian Wushuang in anticipation. This included the leaders of the God Eater clan and the Blackwater Dragon clan. As compared to the Sky Swallowing clan, there were more willing for the Ancient God clan to be the leader of the Special Tribes Alliance. Jian Wushuang knew that everyone was looking at him hopefully. He smirked coldly and looked at the leader of the Blackbone clan, He Qi, in the eyes. Clan leader He Qi, you just said that within the Special Tribes, everyone will look up to the strong. Hence, am I right to say only the strongest among us can become the leader of the alliance? The Ancient God clan has an extremely good reputation. You too, as their leader, have the right to become the leader of the alliance. However, I heard that you became a 9-star ancient god not too long ago. You will not be able to stand up against Emperor Bai in terms of fighting power. Furthermore, you are far too young. This is why I chose to support Lord Ba Su. I seek your understanding, my lord. He Chi nodded his head and smiled. It's all right. What you said was reasonable. Without absolute power, who dares to become the leader of the alliance? However, one's power is not determined by what people say, but through a real fight. Jian Wushuang smiled lightly and replied, Mr. Ba Su, I have long heard that you are the undisputedly strongest man among the special tribes. Are you willing to have a brawl with me since we are both here today? Please go to read the latest chapters for free. Chapter 2088 Ba Su. Everyone at the banquet fell silent after hearing what Jian Wushuang had just said. Every expert was shocked beyond words. Even though the way he had said it was tactful, the meaning behind the words was clear. Jian Wushuang was challenging Ba Su. He was challenging the most powerful man among the special tribes. Even King Chen Xing, who was standing beside the Jian Wushuang, was stunned. He secretly transmitted a message to Jian Wushuang. Ancient God Emperor, Ba Su is an extremely strong opponent. I fought him years ago and his fighting power was top tier amongst the Stage 2 Great Emperors. What if he even reaches the power level of a Stage 3 Great Emperor? If you were to fight him, what if? No worries. Jian Wushuang waved him off. His eyes were still set on Ba Su as he smiled. What will your reply be, Mr. Ba Su? Everyone shifted their vision to Ba Su. They anticipated his reply. Even though most of the experts hated the Sky-Swallowing clan, they still had to admit that Ba Su was the strongest man. The only person who could barely come close in a fight was King Chen Xing. No one knew much about the new ancient god emperor. Could he really go toe-to-toe against Ba Su? Ba Su smiled creepily. He looked at Jian Wushuang and replied, Since it's a request from the ancient god emperor, why would I reject? Please follow me. Jian Wushuang stood up and flew towards a vast space. Ba Su smiled indifferently as he followed suit. They stood facing each other in the vast space. The crowd looked at them, excited. On one side was the new ancient god emperor. On the other was the leader of the Sky-Swallowing clan. Both of them had enormous power within their respective clans. This battle was much anticipated. Most of the experts, from the bottom of their hearts, hoped that Jian Wushuang would win. The outcome of this battle determined the leader of the Special Tribes Alliance. I don't care if I became the leader of the alliance as long as the experts in the Special Tribes are willing to help in dealing with the Three Emperors world. However, no one from the Sky-Swallowing clan can be the leader. Jian Wushuang stood there motionless. He looked at Ba Su as his gaze turned cold. He had just gotten word from the Sanctuary Alliance that the Sky-Swallowing clan was working with the Acheron Palace secretly. Who knew what would happen if they became the leader of the alliance? Hence, anyone could become the leader of the alliance. Anyone but Ba Su. Mr. Ba Su, let's fight. Jian Wushuang said indifferently. Ba Su had a playful grin on his face. He thought to himself, if I can successfully become the leader of the Special Tribes Alliance, more than half of the plans my clan have will be complete. What follows will be much easier. As for the ancient god emperor, he thinks too highly of himself. Ba Su did not take Jian Wushuang seriously. He had gotten to know things about Jian Wushuang through Acheron Palace. He knew that Jian Wushuang had fighting power equivalent to that of a Stage 2 Great Emperor. He would be on par or just a little stronger than King Chen Xing. He was not worried at all. I will not go easy on you. From the looks of it, you are really confident, my dear ancient god emperor. Ba Su smiled coldly. Right then, Achum. A wave of exceptionally strong bloodline power radiated from Ba Su as stripes of golden secret restrictions appeared on his face. His body turned from that of a normal human into that of an enormous golden bat. The same secret restrictions appeared all over the body of the bat. The bat? Jian Wushuang thought to himself. The first member of the Sky-Swallowing clan he met could also turn into a bat. However, that bat did not possess a pure bloodline power. His fighting power was pathetic. The Sky-Swallowing bat in front of Jian Wushuang was completely gold. Ba Su, too, had the bloodline power of an emperor. This Ba Su. On the battlefield, while Ba Su was still being suppressed by Jian Wushuang, Ba Su made a quick retreat and flew out like a golden bat once again. Li! It was the same ear-piercing pitch that resonated across the battlefield. Within that cry, a strong soul attack was making its way towards Jian Wushuang. This move again? Jian Wushuang's face darkened. But this time he was well prepared, using his substantive soul to build many barriers of defense. At the same time, his 5-gem armor started to let out a strange light. The 5-gem armor was placed in Jian Wushuang's hands by the ancient era expert Wu Han. Its might was formidable, despite being damaged. Not just targeting substantive defense, it also provided a certain amount of protection against soul attacks. The frenzied soul attack was approaching. Jian Wushuang snorted. He felt a sharp pain in his soul, but this time he did not fall into that state of inattentiveness. His consciousness was absolutely awake. Immediately he saw Ba Su's attack approaching. Golden lightning elemental barrier. A bucket-thick golden streak of light blasted towards Jian Wushuang. This golden streak of light was filled with golden lightning. One streak of it looked enough to wreak devastating havoc. And that golden streak of light was a flawless combination of millions and millions of flashes of golden lightning. As he watched the golden streak of light approach him, Jian Wushuang's eyes turned cold with death. Dissipate. One thunderous roar shook the void. An astonishing sword essence rose from Jian Wushuang, with 4 hands holding the same spear. This pure divine power, along with 9-star ancient clan-leveled bloodline power, were all fully deployed. An astonishing sword light striked. It went face to face with that golden streak of light. There was no dramatic roar or bang. It was as if the blade of a sword ran itself across a towering mountain. That thick golden streak of light that went on for tens of feet, a clean slice from the sword light. The power dissipated in all directions. What? Ba Su's face changed instantly. Golden lightning elemental barrier, my strongest technique, was taken down in one strike. Jian Wushuang had only suspected the sky-swallowing clan in the beginning, but now he was almost sure that the clan had ties with the Archilon Palace. Perhaps they had even pledged allegiance to the Archilon Palace. Under these circumstances, letting Ba Su of the sky-swallowing clan become chief would mean losing the battle already. Even though their plans did not work out, the sky-swallowing clan will not rest here. They will make their next move. Jian Wushuang squinted for a bit, and looked down towards King Chunxing. King Chunxing, make preparations. I want eyes on that clan from today onwards. Report any action, no matter how small it may seem. Take note of the other special tribes as well. Understood, King Chunxing obliged. King Luoyu, Jian Wushuang looked towards him. Now that the special tribes have started making their preparations, we ourselves cannot fall behind. Gather the strongest experts we have. This will be my task for you. No problem, King Luoyu nodded. You're all dismissed. Jian Wushuang waved his hand. The 3 9-star ancient emperors went away to make the necessary preparations. Jian Wushuang continued to sit there and started transmitting something to Emperor Bai. Sky-swallowing sanctuary, deep in their lair, in the dusky void. Clan leader Ba Su, you really messed up this time. Because of you, all our well-thought plans have all been flushed down the drain. The eerie black-robed man stood there, his voice seemingly depressed. Chief, this was indeed partially my fault, but do you think the Archilon Palace had no responsibility either? The information you gave me was that Jian Wushuang was no more than a simple second-stage Great Emperor. But what happened? His abilities are pinnacle second-stage Great Emperor level. If not for your inaccurate information, would I have fought face-to-face with him? I would never have just given the position of chief away to that brat. Ba Su replied. Hearing this, the black-robed man fell silent. Please go to read the latest chapters for free. Chapter 2902 All In. Jian Wushuang's abilities were indeed incredible. Back at the Three Emperors world, the fighting power he demonstrated was indeed of a decent second-stage Great Emperor level, but not the pinnacle. From then till now, how long had it been? Jian Wushuang had even defeated the pinnacle second-stage Great Emperor Ba Su face-to-face. Compare that to when Jian Wushuang had just arrived in Three Emperors world. Too fast, Jian Wushuang has improved too fast. At this rate, he won't take long before he reaches Emperor Bei's level. That would be a great disturbance to the Archilon Palace, the black-robed man said solemnly. Why are you wasting time then? Have you came up with a plan to remove Jian Wushuang yet? Is that not what the Archilon Palace is known for? Ba Su bawled. To kill Jian Wushuang? The black-robed man thought for a while before shaking his head. He is not the Jian Wushuang of yesterday. With such protection skills, it would prove too difficult to kill him. Maybe it would have been possible before he surpassed the 7th step of inverse cultivation, but it's too late for that now. The black-robed man was helpless. Indeed, they had missed the golden opportunity to kill Jian Wushuang. Now that Jian Wushuang's wings had spread, it was almost impossible to slay him. Chich, what was the Archilon Palace doing in the beginning? Ba Su questioned. Enough, there is nothing we can do to change the past. It has already happened, Jian Wushuang becoming chief of the Special Tribes Alliance and all, the black-robed man said. The window for you to become chief has long closed. Now, we need to count on Plan B. Plan B? Ba Su's pupils shrank. He knew what the black-robed man was referring to. We're not prepared yet. Using Plan B, is that not a bit too hasty? Ba Su frowned. We have no choice. If we wait for the special clans to unite their forces with the Sanctuary Alliance, it will be too late. We may not be well prepared, the plan may not be perfect, but it's all or nothing now, the black-robed man replied. All in ha. Ba Su found his well-needed determination. Okay then, I'll make the preparations. Go then, the Archleon Palace will make its move now. With that, the black-robed man took out his token and gave the orders. God-Eater Sanctuary of the God-Eater clan. Within the sanctuary grounds, there were countless special tribes of different strengths besides the God-Eater clan. At this moment, they had all gathered. Two figures were pacing around. During the recent ancient god clan's coronation, all clans unanimously agreed upon the creation of the Special Tribes Alliance, with the new ancient god emperor as chief. We, the Fire Edge clan as part of the alliance, do not have enough almighties. According to the chief, if a clan has more than 10 almighties, 1 or 2 may stay behind. But my clan only has 3 almighties, so all of us have to fight, the red-haired middle-aged man said. All 3? With no almighty to guard our clan? What happens if our clan finds itself in trouble? A lad in black asked. As the chief mentioned, he will connect the clans and the Sanctuary Alliance with space tunnels. If anything happens within the clan, we can come back immediately, the red-haired man replied. That's not too bad then, the black-shirt lad nodded. But something was wrong. His eyes hinted at something sinister. Clan leader, I'm afraid you won't be able to join this battle, the black-shirt lad said. Huh? The red-haired middle-aged man turned around, only to see the black-shirt lad's ferocious eyes staring at him. Before he could say anything, a cold dagger plunged into the red-haired man's chest at lightning speed. Crap! At this moment of life and death, the red-haired man immediately activated his armor and blocked the dagger. But the dagger had already pierced the man's skin. This was enough for the man's face to completely change. He could feel a terrifying corrosive power seeping through his body from that bit of skin. Poison? The red-haired middle-aged man looked at the black-shirt lad, unable to believe what had happened. The lad grinned hideously before making his departure. In the void above a clan's lair, several black shadows stood in line. These 10-odd men each let out a terrifying aura, for they were all almighties above Sir God level. There was even one Emperor God. These black-robed men stared at the massive clan in front of them, their eyes icy cold. In moments, these 10-odd men floated towards the clan. A terrifying blow was heard, and thus began the massacre. Within ancient God's sanctuary grounds. The Purple Snake Clan, a mid-tier clan without experts of Emperor God levels, but which possessed 5 Sir Gods. Now, these 5 Sir Gods and many more experts under them gathered. But they did not gather for the battle against the 3 Emperors' world, but for the other huge mid-tier clan in front of them. That clan had had great animosity against the Purple Snake Clan for a long period of time. Their hatred had grown to a point of no return. Purple Snake Clan leader, the time is now. We can make our move, a black-robed figure within the crowd smiled. What about your men? The leader of the Purple Snake Clan asked. Relax, once you've made your move, the experts we inserted into the other clan will make their move too. You have our full support. Good, the leader smiled and looked towards the masses behind him. Clansmen, the time to cleanse our shame and take our revenge for our ancestors has arrived. Take your weapons and kill them all. Kill. The many experts from the Purple Snake Clan charged towards the other clan ferociously. The 2 clans began their frenzy. Slaughter after slaughter from all over the 4 sanctuaries began almost simultaneously. The entire Special Tribes domain was in a mess. Please go to read the latest chapters for free. Chapter 2093 Chaos. Within the 4 sanctuaries, while the brawl between Special Tribes was in full swing. In the Great Hall of the Ancient God Clan. Ancient Emperor, I bring news from the other tribes. Many tribes now are in a complete mess, King Chen Xing reported solemnly. What exactly happened? Jian Wushuang asked. The Special Tribes Alliance was already formed, all that needed to happen was for the tribes to gather their strength and prepare for battle. Yet, at such a crucial period of time, this had happened. We do not know the specifics, but information from the tribes shows some sort of mutiny within themselves, slaughtering one another. Other tribes report sudden assaults from foreign clans, especially from those with a past grudge. Some of them were attacked by black-robed experts. Many tribes are in a wreck now, fights are happening everywhere. Some of them can't take the pressure and have requested for us to send some of our own experts over. Jian Wushuang's face darkened upon hearing that. It's the Archilon Palace. Jian Wushuang's fists clenched uncontrollably. I thought they could only infiltrate the human domains, but now they've influenced our special tribes as well. They have done it so well. One movement from them was enough to create such big waves. From the current severity of it, Jian Wushuang was sure it was the doing of Archilon Palace. Such brilliant infiltration within the eternal chaotic world. Only the Archilon Palace could have done it. What about the other 3 big clans? How are they? They're doing fine. God Eater clan saw its own share of mutiny, however, along with the attack of the Black Ropes. But it's nothing the God Eaters cannot handle. As for the Sky Swallowing clan and the Black Dragon clan, all is calm, King Chen Xing replied. Jian Wushuang frowned. He understood the Sky Swallowers' inactivity, but the Black Dragons. King Chen Xing, get your people to keep an eye on the others, especially the Sky Swallowing clan. If my calculations are correct, they will make their move soon, Jian Wushuang said. Make their move? King Chen Xing and the others were puzzled. They had never suspected the Sky Swallowing clan. Jian Wushuang fell silent for a moment, before he replied, I previously received information from Emperor Bai of the Human Sanctuary Alliance. The Sky Swallowing clan's movements have become increasingly suspicious and they have interacted with experts of the Archilon Palace. Add that to how they behave during the coronation, I'm almost certain they have colluded with the Archilon Palace, perhaps even following them. What? King Chen Xing, King Luo Yu, King Zhansong were all astonished. The Sky Swallowing clan, colluding with the Archilon Palace? If this information were correct, it would prove to be a devastating blow to the special tribes. After all, the Sky Swallowers were part of the top 4 special tribes, just next to the ancient gods. The Sky Swallowing clan was so formidable and so influential within the special tribe's domain. Things are not as simple as they seem because of this, Jian Wushuang mumbled, before lifting his head once again. King Zhansong. Oh great emperor, King Zhansong immediately took a bow. Take some experts from our clan and dispatch them to others that require our help. You will lead this team and be quick about it. We do not have much time. Crises that cannot be mediated, you are allowed to settle them in your own way. Kill every single black robe you meet along the way as well. Do not hesitate, Jian Wushuang murmured. Understood, King Zhang replied. Ancient Emperor, with everything that's going on, we have more than 10 tribes alone asking us for help. Will King Zhang's team be enough? King Luo Yu frowned. It won't be, but we don't have a choice, Jian Wushuang replied coldly. On the other side, the two great emperors formed the sky-swallowing clan charged into the crowd and began a massacre. Within moments, many almighties died at their hands. The killing continued. Elder Zhong, the Black Water Dragon Emperor, yelled fiercely. Her voice reverberated within the entire clan and even penetrated deep into the ground. At that instant, boom! An aura that obviously belonged to a great emperor rose from the depths. A man in gray clothes with a black marking on his forehead appeared before everyone. He was extremely ugly. He rushed to meet the two great emperors from the sky-swallowing clan and managed to go even against them even though he fought them alone. Oh! Ba Su was surprised when he saw this. I have heard that the Black Water Dragon clan is the weakest clan among the 4 top-tier clans. This does not seem to be the case, at least on the highest level. Your clan is much stronger than the God Eater clan. Besides you, your clan has another top-tier stage 1 great emperor. This great emperor was never heard of before. You have hit him well. The Black Water Dragon Emperor grunted but did not reply. Elder Zhong was one of the hidden experts among the Black Water Dragon clan. He was so old that even she, as the clan's leader, respected him a lot. Elder Zhong was not so powerful before. The reason why he could fight at the level of a top-tier stage 1 great emperor was because he had encountered an opportunity when he went into the new ancient battlefield. His power grew as he cultivated on return. This was why the Elder Zhong now was much stronger than before. He alone could stop 2 great emperors from the sky-swallowing clan. My dear Blackwater Dragon Emperor, do you really think that you can stop the sky-swallowing clan just like this? You are too naive. No matter what others say, the Blackwater Dragon clan is a top-tier clan. Their foundation is extremely solid. If I was not absolutely sure that I could destroy this clan, why would I attack? Ba Su scoffed. The Blackwater Dragon Emperor turned pale. Following his laugh, 2 auras burst forth in the middle of the battlefield. Boom, boom. 2 shocking auras were felt. What? The Blackwater Dragon Emperor looked at the source of the aura. What she saw were 2 men in black robes. One of the men stood beside Ba Su. The auras that was radiated off their bodies were at the level of a great emperor. 2 more great emperors? This. The Blackwater Dragon Emperor was aghast. Including Ba Su, the sky-swallowing clan already had 3 great emperors. Now 2 more had joined their ranks? There would be 5 great emperors. How could the Blackwater Dragon clan defend itself against this horrifying lineup of 5 great emperors and more than 200 almighties? Please go to read the latest chapters for free. He had never guessed that Jian Wushuang could deduce that the sky-swallowing clan would attack the Blackwater Dragon clan just because the Blackwater Dragon clan was peaceful. He also did not expect that the ancient God Emperor could come on time. This brilliance, I admit that I indeed underestimated you. I never thought with your incredible talent and power that you were so brilliant. It was no wonder you managed to become the only new ancient God Emperor after all this time. Ba Su said. However, so what if you are here? More than half of the experts from the ancient God clan had to stay within the clan to prevent a backstab. Many others went, under the guidance of King Zhang, to assist other clans. Even with these experts you brought, the fighting power will be anywhere near to what we have. It is still uncertain who will emerge victorious. But let's try. Jian Wushuang smiled coldly as he unsheathed his Blood Mountain sword and attacked Ba Su. At the same time, bush, 6 beams of golden light flashed all around him. It was the 6 Hongjun golden swords he had. Ba Su looked at the swords gravely. He could deal with the Black Dragon Emperor easily even if she used all her might. It was different if his opponent was Jian Wushuang. He could still remember the battle during the coronation ceremony clearly. Boom, boom. Ba Su fought Jian Wushuang with all his fight. As expected, he was completely suppressed under the pressure of the 6 Hongjun golden swords. On the entire battlefield, the Black Water Dragon clan was at a severe disadvantage. It was not simply the difference at the level of the Almighty. There were 2 great emperors who were freely wreaking havoc on the battlefield. When the experts from the ancient god clan arrived and joined the battlefield, the tides turned. At the level of an Almighty, there were 8 8-star ancient gods. Among them were King Guyu and 3 other top-tier 8-star ancient gods. The remaining were 7-star ancient gods. Once this fighting power entered the battlefield, the fighting power equaled the level of the Almighty. The Sky-Swallowing clan had 5 great emperors. On the other hand, there were only 4 great emperors on the side of the Black Water Dragon clan and the reinforcements from Jian Wushuang. They had 1 less, but the quality of the great emperors was higher. Please go to read the latest chapters for free. Ancient God's Secret Skills, Moon Picking Skill. The space-time trembled as the limitless power of space-time flooded the area which the 2 great emperors were at. The entire space was sealed off immediately. The entire heaven and earth and power of space-time gathered there and suppressed the 2 great emperors. At the same time, a large palm made up of pure divine power appeared out of nowhere. It was as though this palm belonged to a mother as it traveled quietly. It approached the 2 great emperors slowly. It looked like the palm was going to pick up a flower floating on a stream lightly and gently. Fear was clearly written on the faces of the 2 great emperors within the sealed space. They struggled furiously and tried their best to escape the confinement, but nothing they did could break them free. They could only look at the palm as it slowly approached them. Hum, hum, hum. Soft humming could be heard in the space before it turned completely quiet. As for the 2 great emperors, they turned pale as the auras on their body weakened as though they were men at the brink of death. When Jian Wushuang used all his might and skill, even top-tier stage 2 great emperors like Ba Su would be heavily injured. The 2 ordinary stage 1 great emperors were lucky to even survive. Even though they managed to survive the secret skill, King Chengxing and the Black Dragon Emperor caught up with them and killed them. There was nothing they could do, not even soul ignition, before they were killed. Upon seeing this, Jian Wushuang smiled coldly. I finally understand why Emperor Bai was able to kill great emperors so easily, Jian Wushuang muttered. Every great emperor had their own unique techniques. Their ability to save their own lives and run away were extremely strong. It would be difficult for 2 great emperors with similar power levels to kill each other. For a stage 2 great emperor, it would still be extremely difficult to kill a stage 1 great emperor as he would need to be wary of soul ignition. However, if one were a top-tier stage 2 great emperor, killing a stage 1 great emperor would not be so difficult. Jian Wushuang possessed the ability to kill most stage 1 great emperors with the aid of his moon-picking skill. Emperor Bai was much stronger and scarier than Jian Wushuang, hence it would be even easier for him to kill great emperors. Ba Su and the remaining 6 great emperors ran even faster when they saw the death of the 2 great emperors. They were all shocked. Jian Wushuang was not able to do anything to the remaining great emperors and could only help kill those 2 great emperors. The experts from the 3 different clans stopped chasing after inflicting heavy damage to the Sky-Swallowing clan, the Acheron Palace and Holocaust sect. The battle was finally over. Please go to read the latest chapters for free. Chapter 2100 Uprooted. Thank goodness you've arrived. If not for you, I'm afraid my clan would have been annihilated by now. You have our gratitude. If you encounter any issues in the future, we will definitely come to your assistance. The Black Dragon Emperor said, looking at Jian Wushuang with affection. I am the Special Tribes Alliance Chief after all, it is my duty to help you. No need for formalities. Jian Wushuang smiled. He noticed how the Black Dragon Emperor was looking at him, but paid no attention to it. Chief, the audacity of the sky-swallowing clan. To collude with the Archilon Palace, even attempting to wipe out the Black Dragon clan. The God-Eater clan leader mumbled. Their ambition does not end there. If my predictions are correct, Ba Su wanted to get rid of the Black Dragon clan silently, then find an opportunity to get rid of the God-Eaters. Finally, Hell find the ancient gods. If his plan had succeeded, with the other top 3 clans removed from the picture, who else would have dared to defy the Sky Swallowers? By then, no clan would dare join the Human Sanctuary Alliance in battle. The 3 Emperors' world would have won by then. The experts from both God-Eater clan and Black Dragon clan looked at each other. They were chilled by what could have happened, but relieved it had not. Luckily Jian Wushuang had seen through the sky-swallowing clan's intentions from the beginning, allowing their plan to fall apart. The experts from the ancient god clan all looked at Jian Wushuang with respect, especially King Chen Xing and King Zhan Song. They knew the sky-swallowing clan had made no intention to attack the Black Dragons beforehand, but Jian Wushuang had derived that from the inactivity of the Black Dragons, and decisively led experts here personally. This level of observation, King Zhan Song and King Chen Xing were ashamed. King Chen Xing had a newfound respect for Jian Wushuang. Even though the sky-swallowing clan has suffered its share of losses this time, their foundation remains. If they are not destroyed, what happened today will happen again, Jian Wushuang said. Ancient Emperor, what you mean is, Black Dragon Emperor and the God-Eater clan leader looked towards Jian Wushuang. I suggest that the 3 clans unite against the sky-swallowing clan, uprooting them in the shortest time possible. Those clans that follow the sky-swallowing clan, like the Blackbone clan, since the Sky Swallowers have decided to collude with the Archilon Palace, there is no doubt the rest have as well. If there is a need, we will remove them too. Jian Wushuang said coldly. Hearing this, the 2 leaders nodded. The sky-swallowing clan had to be destroyed, that was for certain. As for the other clans that followed, they would perish too. 70% of my God-Eater experts have followed us here to Black Dragon grounds. We are ready to strike against the Sky Swallowers, the God-Eater leader said. Even though my Black Dragon clan has suffered huge losses, many almighties have fallen, we still have enough fighting power. What's left of us, myself included, are at your disposal. The Black Dragon Emperor followed. For the Black Dragon clan, Jian Wushuang and the Ancient God clan were now their saviors, especially after today. Be it in gratitude or for revenge, they were all happy to join in the fight against the sky-swallowing clan. Very good, Jian Wushuang smiled and looked towards King Chen Xing. Take more experts from our clan and spread the news across the domain about today's battle. The sky-swallowing clan have officially colluded with the Archilon Palace and almost destroyed the Black Dragon clan today. Now, the Black Dragon clan, God-Eater clan, and Ancient clan will join forces and uproot the treasonous Sky Swallowers. During this period of time, any clan that dares stop us will be seen as colluding with the Sky Swallowers. They will all be cut down. Understood, King Chen Xing made his move and started spreading the word. After that, the 3 clans started to reorganize their remaining forces and made their way towards the Sky-Swallowing clan's lair. A quiet void gathered the Sky Swallowers, the Archilon Palace, and Holocaust sect experts. There were only 100-odd people. Before the battle happened, the Sky Swallowers and Archilon Palace together had over 200 experts, and an extra 30 from the Holocaust sect. But now, there were just over 100. They had lost more than half of their experts. Even those that survived were in bad shape. Ba Su, the eerie elder from the Archilon Palace, and experts of the Holocaust sect had gathered. Indeed, the 3 clans led by the ancient emperor have reached our doorstep. Ba Su's face turned green. 9/10 of my clan came to destroy the Black Dragons, but now only 1/10 remains. Even with the protective array, there is no way I can defend against them. We will lose our foundation. Hearing this, the sky-swallowing experts trembled profusely. After they had escaped from the Black Dragon clan, Ba Su immediately transmitted a message to the remaining experts within the sky-swallowing clan, asking them to escape and hide. But they were such a big clan. This maneuver could not be done in an instant. And Jian Wushuang was so much faster. They were heading towards their lair almost right after they had pushed them back. When Jian Wushuang and the others made their way into the lair, the sky-swallowing clan had only managed to move several hundred people. The remaining people did not stand a chance. The three clans were not going to have any mercy upon the clan-hunting, bloodthirsty sky-swallowers. Add that to the fact that they defected towards the Archilon Palace, betraying the Special Tribes Alliance, and betraying the entire eternal chaotic world. What good was there in keeping this clan around? Please go to read the latest chapters for free. Within the sky-swallowing clan's dungeon, Jian Wushuang looked at it bizarrely, that floating pearl in front of him. Deep within, he knew he desired it. With such a powerful treasure by his side, it would benefit him and the entire eternal chaotic world. Black Dragon Emperor, Leader and Quan, excuse me if you would, I want to try cultivating it, Jian Wushuang said. Both leaders nodded. They knew cultivating the soul-swallowing pearl was no easy feat, at least it was impossible for him. But with Jian Wushuang, there was a slim chance he could. Both leaders left. Jian Wushuang then looked at King Chunxing and King Zhansong. King Chunxing, follow the other leaders, and think of a way to find the other sky swallowers, along with Ba Su and those experts from Archilon Palace, Holocaust Sect. King Zhansong, stand guard outside the dungeon. I don't wish for anyone to disturb me while I try cultivating it. Understood, they answered unanimously and left. Only Jian Wushuang had remained within the entire dungeon. He walked towards the pearl and sat with his legs crossed. The pearl was hidden there, but left uncultivated by any expert from the sky-swallowing clan. Obviously no one from their clan could do it, but could I? Here goes nothing. With a tinge of expectation, Jian Wushuang closed his eyes as a strong soul power went straight for the soul-swallowing pearl. As the soul power had fully encompassed the pearl, a resonance could be immediately felt between them. Jian Wushuang finally understood why it was so hard to cultivate the pearl. Please go to read the latest chapters for free.